Welcome back to the Comics Aficionados live right here on Think Critical YouTube. We actually got started on time, which doesn't happen all that often, but we got a fantastic panel of nerds to talk about all the comic book news. There isn't a whole lot, so we might go off in some side adventures, which is probably always the best part of the show anyway. And we've got first time on the channel, James Silvati, comic book artist. Now, you and Aaron Sparrow have worked in the past together, correct? You did the Darkwing Duck series and a bunch of other work at Boom?
Yes, we did. It's we put out some good stuff together.
Very nice. And you've got a new project coming up. Apparently, are you a big fan of pirates?
Well, it's I would say they're fun to draw. They're very fun to draw. So I have a Kickstarter coming up starting this week. It's a graphic novel I actually wrote because Aaron was busy. It was Pirates, a Graphic History. And it's a humor book, but it's also nonfiction. And it's all about the history of pirates.
Very nice. And I've shown the Kickstarter here. It hasn't kicked off yet, but if you are interested in it, it's 150 pages. It's not like a little short book. This is a full-up graphic novel. You can get the notification there as well. And we do have a few little previews for people to be able to check out. If I could ever pull this actually up, and I have not yet because I am an idiot. And there it is. We've got the cover of Pirates of Graphic History, but not that kind of graphic. And you've got the history of piracy. You've got the history of piracy in different parts of the world. And then you even have a lot of, specific characters or pirates that you'll know of. William Kidd, everyone knows who Captain Kidd is. You've also got Blackbeard in there and some very prominent pirates over the years.
Yes. Yeah, this was something I started researching about 7 years ago. I had done a book for another publisher about how to draw dinosaurs. And they said, if you ever had an idea for another nonfiction book, make sure to hit us up. So I started researching pirates because really, I mean, that was the funnest thing to draw. And did all the research, started doing the writing, handed in a script, and the publisher came back and said, well, pirates really aren't a thing anymore. So I had done all the work. I had really fallen in love with the subject. And so this crazy thing called Kickstarter came around, and I hadn't tried it before, but it really does seem to be the future of comics. So I explored that, and here we are. I'm ready to launch on Tuesday.
This Tuesday, that's going to be absolutely amazing. Now, you've got Captain Kidd in there. He is maybe the most famous pirate, even more famous than Blackbeard in a lot of circles. But I've also done a little bit of research on pirates. I'm not convinced he was a pirate. I think he was just a privateer that got screwed over by his government.
He should be in comics. Yeah, he was, but he also had a bit of he had a bit of an ego. So he thought he could do this better, and of course most of his time was spent attacking the French. So easy target right there. He was very misunderstood, as were most pirates.
So did you enjoy getting into the pirate culture and subcultures and all the weird things that they did and finding their weird, like little hideouts where they'd make little shanty towns and stuff?
The whole culture of pirates was just so fascinating because it's not like it's the romantic thing that most people associate with pirates, the swashbuckling rogue or anything like that. I mean, these guys were just basically criminals at the time. They were organized crime, and it wasn't. I try and make a point in the book that it wasn't really anything to be admired, but I'm trying to do it with humor, so that it's a little beneath because from the work Aaron and I did, we're all about all ages stuff. I want something the kids can read. I want something that my nephews can read. And so we did. I went out to make a point of doing this, but I mean, there's so much you deal with from that era. I mean, as much as you hear about pirates and treasure going after things like that, the largest business that they were in was the slave trade. They used to hijack slave ships and hold them for ransom. And that's, if you got a ship full of slaves there, that's a considerable investment, no matter how crappy it was. And you're going to pay to get those back. And that's probably half of the pirate business right there.
So how close were you to getting Jean de Clisson in the book, or was she in there?
I'm sorry?
Jean de Clisson, the most coolest female pirate. Her husband was killed by the French king, and she took all of his money and created a pirate ship and started destroying the French fleet.
So she is actually on my short list of one of my stretch goals on the Kickstarter is going to be to add additional pages.
Very nice.
So that'll be they're going to be added to the back biography section. There's quite a few I left out. Other French pirates like Jean Lafitte, I left him out, and but if you're cutting for space, the French are going to be the first to go.
So if you're interested in pirates, that's going to be really, really cool, especially if you got little kids.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Eric. I know this is your pal. You talk to him.
No, I just had a quick question for James. I was going to say that, in these days where, you have to actually be of the demographic that, that tells the story of different people. How do you, as an Italian, feel that you're qualified to talk about organized crime?
Exactly.
What are you trying to say, huh?
No, finger purse you.
Every one of them legitimate businessmen.
So, James, if people are interested in that dinosaur book that you mentioned, is that thing still available? Is it still in print? Where can they find that one?
It is still available. It's called Drawasaurus. I actually am going to do it as an add-on to the Kickstarter. So you can either order it from Amazon, or I will send you a signed copy when you order the pirate book. Very
nice. And Pirates, a graphic history, but not that graphic history, will be up on Kickstarter on Tuesday. And we're very excited to talk about James Salvati, Aaron Sparrow's partner in crime. And if I believe this is correct, and I might have this incorrect, James, but you were just a fan of some of the Disney characters, and Aaron discovered you on a message board where you were putting up your art and stuff?
Yes. So I've always been a fan of the Carl Barks comics, the Uncle Scrooge comics. I don't know if you guys were this old, but back when I was a kid, the first comics I bought, they used to be the old Gold Key Disney comics, and they'd sell them in a bag, like 5 in a wrapped plastic bag at the dime store, or the Circle K. And so I would just go through those hours and hours and hours, and I'd draw Scrooge all the time, and I'd draw Donald. And then I think I went to Comic-Con maybe back in 2007, 2008, and Boom Studios had some sort of handout on the table saying, hey, you want to submit your stuff? We got a message board, which I thought was actually a really good idea. It's better than just a cold send out, but you could see what is... You could submit your stuff to them, and you could kind of see what was out there too. And I put my stuff up one day. By the end of the day, I got an email from Aaron saying, "Hey, are you free?" Because I had submitted Muppet comics as my samples, and from there started on some Muppet comics, and I was all set to do another Muppet series for him, and he said, "Hey, I think I'm going to. I think I want to put you on some Darkwing Duck comics." And I'm like, I want to do more Muppets. But
Sparrow,
he did say
poached you.
Yeah, he poached me.
I poached him from myself.
Yes, because Aaron was writing the.
He was actually, who I poached him from is he was actually scheduled to draw Jesse Snyder's Muppet book, Muppet Snow White. And I took him off of Jesse's project, and I moved him over to Darkwing. And
and I'll never forgive you.
Exactly. You should blame all your life's problems on Aaron Sparrow for.
Oh, I got a list.
It's fair.
Good job, Aaron. You ruined his life.
Look, I mean, Doug TenNapel once told a young Aaron Sparrow at a comic convention that if you really want to do comics, just stick with that dream. So, I mean, I blame Doug. And James blames me. It's all an interconnected web of blame and resentment.
Very nice. We're very happy to have you on the channel here, James. I've heard a lot about
Thanks for
you.
having me.
And good to finally put a face to the name and all that good stuff. We've also got returning. We do have Dylan, the real comic book gamer himself. Obviously, an avid streamer of video games, covers comic books and all that good stuff. How you doing, Dylan?
I'm doing good, man. It's a nice Saturday morning.
Is there anything that you learned in the last few weeks that you need to explain to Jim?
No, not currently. No, nothing
Jim
at
doesn't
the
need
moment.
Damn it.
No. I'm sure Jim will think of something.
I was
if he has any
hoping.
questions, you know.
Yes, yes.
Jim confides in me. He comes to me for things all the
I
time.
do.
You should see our
He is
DM.
my mentor. He's my Yoda.
So what are the hot games right now, Dylan? What is it that you're streaming and talking about these days?
Well, for as far as games go, it's Space Marine 2 still. That's the only game that I'm really playing right now. But yeah, always talking about a bunch of different comics and all that. So yeah, talk about whatever there is to talk about.
Isn't there a Star Wars Outlaws game or something?
Yeah, I didn't touch that game. That game looked awful. The only good Star Wars games are the Jedi games. There's 2 of them right now. That's with Cal Kestis. Those games are good, but other than that, steer clear of Star Wars games. The Outlaws is made by Ubisoft, and Ubisoft hasn't made a good game in like 1,000 years. Ubisoft's the developers making that samurai game. That's or that's under attack right now because they made a lot of stupid decisions and they've delayed it, and like Japan is furious with them. So
Are they furious because they made it or because they delayed it?
They're furious because they're finally making an Assassin's Creed game in Japan, and the 2 options are you can play as this one lady or you can play as a black guy, and they kind of made a lot of fictional things about that man, and they tried to pass it off as it's all historically accurate. And then a bunch of people from Japan came and were like, "That's not accurate at all. This is all wrong." And now they're like, "Whoa."
Yeah, because
And,
there's not much known about
when we
that
said
dude.
accurate, what
Yeah.
we meant was made up.
Yeah.
I believe he was the sandal bearer for Nobunaga, or one of the great like 3 samurais that like shoguns that united Japan during the Edo era or whatever. Or I'm
Yeah,
sorry, the whatever the era where they were all fighting each other. Sengoku?
Yeah,
I think that's it.
From what I've read about him, like the only little bit that's really know about him is he's kind of like just the sword holder for an actual samurai, and that was kind of it. He didn't really do anything, but it's
Well,
hilarious.
he was
They
like
really-
the sword holder for the biggest samurai, the dude
Yeah.
that originally like united the entire country
true
under
but,
tyrannical rule.
they released gameplay for it, and the music in the background is like hip hop Japanese music, and so they were just incredibly racist while trying to be like, look how diverse our game is. Like the black guy, like, and he's gigantic roaming around Japan compared to everyone else, and then there's just hip hop Japanese.
I can tell
music,
you,
and it's
as a Westerner in Asia, I feel gigantic. That might not be out of character.
could be accurate, but the
You
music
sit there in
playing was
Korea, you can
hilarious.
see over all the heads.
And that Star Wars game looked awful. That everything I've seen from it looks terrible. The gameplay looks awful. The dialogue looks awful. So I steer clear of that.
I've got to ask you a question before we move on, though. Did you read the Lobo cancellation special this week?
Yes, it was amazing. I liked it a lot.
Isn't that like one of the 2 or 3 best comics of the year so far?
Yes, and also the art on it was fantastic, which is like you don't expect that
Oh,
for just some.
nailed it.
Dylan, did
Some
you read
random-
Peacemaker Tries Hard? When
No,
that
I did
came
not.
out? See, now I'm going to educate you.
Okay.
It's by Kyle Starks. You have to read. If you like the Lobo special, you'll love the Peacemaker even more. It's so
Okay.
good. Yeah,
Okay,
give it
I'll
a
check
shot.
It out. Okay, thanks. I'll check it out.
No
Yeah,
problem.
Lobo
Jim told me I
Cancellation
needed
was
to read that, and the reason I didn't was because I was so Peacemakered out because he was in like 8 books at the same
Mhm.
time. I was like, I got no time for Peacemaker. Apparently, I made a
Yeah.
huge mistake.
Yeah,
It's
he
really
kept showing
good.
up in the Williamsons books. And I just
This
don't
is
care.
that the Peacemaker Tries Hard's like really right from the TV series, like from the movie TV series. So actually, it probably would be better now because a lot of people were burned out.
All right.
So you were in agreement that Lobo cancellation special was fucking. That's the best Lobo book I think I've ever read.
It was amazing. I didn't even know it was coming out, and then I was looking at the new releases, and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, I'll read this." I read it, and it was fantastic. I had no idea it was coming out or was actually this good or anything, and then I read it.
I forgot
and
to
it
tell
was,
anybody.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Definitely highest recommend on that one. We'll be talking about that one on Best of the Week. So I'm glad you got to check that one out because I know you don't read as many comic books as you used to because it's so hit or miss these days.
Yeah, you never know what you're gonna get. But Lobo, yeah, you can't go wrong with Lobo cancellation special. It was so good.
Now let's move over to Jim. You're the only person I know that didn't like the Lobo cancellation special. What's wrong with you, Jim?
I like it. Why do you say that? I do like it. I just didn't like Last Halloween as much as some people. So you can give me shit for
I don't
that.
understand that. The last Halloween was fantastic.
Just was bored by it. I just was bored. I don't know. I didn't like it. So sue me. But yeah, I'm more concerned. I'm hoping that James eventually gets to my favorite pirate, Willie Stargell, is what I was hoping for by the end and the goals. But
that would be great.
That'd be
Pirates of graphic history, but not that graphic history. And then you got Roberto Clemente on the fucking cover.
Roberto Clemente would be the second on my deal, but I like Pops a little more, so I went with that. And unfortunately, I was hoping Doc would join him with that, but he might be out and about right now. But
no, I'm here.
He's here. Doc seems
you're gonna
down.
have the all-time disappointment of having Bobby Bonilla and Barry Bonds and
Barry Bonds.
Slot. It's like all in the same outfield and never winning a World
actually
Series.
have them shaking their fist at Sid Bream.
Yeah,
That's a big deal. That would be very accurate. But yeah, hey, here we are. But yeah, I suggest everybody, if you did check out that Lobo special, really check out that Peacemaker Tries Hard. It's on the app now. If you have the app, just give it a whirl. And I think people, if you like the one, you'll love the other.
So did you almost die this week, Jim? That's
No.
what everyone wants to know.
No, I just feel like crap as always.
But you've locked yourself up in the attic of your house. And
I have
leaving.
pretty much not left. I go and walk my dog like 3 times a day. That's the only time I leave this room. So I pretty much sequestered myself in. I can't die. So
because your neighbor put a beating on you. And you don't want to fetch that.
It's also because nobody's here in the house. I have no real reason to do anything. That sounds depressing, but it is. But yeah, other than that, I just kind of hang, making songs, stuff like that. It's what
You're doing dirty songs.
The comics, the songs is what I put. Yeah, I probably should go to 25,000 subscribers today, and that just keeps going better than the comics for me. So that's a sad state, but that's the way it goes.
Well, we did have some highs this week, but we did have to get through Namor 3. We had to get through Uncanny X-Men. It was another bad week.
Yeah.
What was worse, Uncanny X-Men or Namor?
Probably Namor. I don't know. Or is it Namor? I don't know. But the thing is, though, while I was reading Namor or even Uncanny X-Men, I kept thinking, thank God it's not Spirits of Vengeance from last week or Dazzler, stuff like that. So I kind of got through it that way. Though I did have somebody on the comics page arguing with me that they love that Spirits of Vengeance, and that just made me laugh for days. So I don't know.
Sean Damian Hill art really nailed it.
Yeah, nailed it. All right, nailed it. Done. But yeah, there you go.
No, there's a sucker born every minute.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We've also got obviously Aaron Sparrow, Mr. Silvani's partner in crime. You guys have worked together for a long, long time. Obviously, you're doing Kneel Before Doomface, which isn't so much all ages. It gave Silvani a little opportunity to do some pirates.
It, I go back and forth because I kind of struggle with it. Should it be all ages or should it be, and I mean, there's nothing really in it that's that bad, except I think that Lexi says bullshit at one point, and Silver Streak says asshole. Which obviously I wouldn't do in a Darkwing book because they wouldn't let me. But no, I wouldn't do that. I did kind of like struggle with that because I was like, are people going to want to read this to their kids? And then I was like, there's actually like a lot of things in here that there's a lot of slapstick kind of stuff that would appeal to kids, but there's a lot of like really kind of like meta and social commentary stuff that's subtle that'll go like right over their heads, and then some stuff that's not so subtle. So yeah, it's a tough balancing act to walk, but I've got plans for Silvani to do something for Kneel Before Doomface. We'll see if we hit that stretch goal.
Is Silvani going to do like the Scotty Young variant cover where Doomface is a baby?
No, my plan is to do G.I. Joe style PSAs in the back of the book with Colonel Silverstreak giving really poor advice to kids, and I would like James to draw those.
What about a Kneel Before Doomface variant cover where they're all dinosaurs?
Yeah, no. I'm not gonna do it.
Dinosaur, everyone loves dinosaurs.
Or pirates.
Not gonna do a
Pirates.
selfie. No, I'm not gonna do a selfie variant. I'm not gonna take some old Jim Lee trading card art and put it on there and call it new. I'm not gonna take some Marvel versus Capcom art from the video game and slap that on some shitty From the Ashes covers and try to sell it that way. You know, so people are like, "Oh man, I really love Marvel versus Capcom. I love the X-Men. Let me pick this up, man. Bengus's art is so good. What's this? Nightcrawler's a furry. What the?"
What else would you expect from Aunt fucking Gail?
No. Look. What was I right or was I right? I said 3 issues. You guys were all high on issue 1. This is pretty good. And I was like, 3 issues, baby. That's all it's gonna take. By the 3rd issue, the real Gale will come out, and you'll be getting some shitty anti-humor that ruins characters for the gag, you know. And here we are, issue 3.
Well, thankfully, I did not suffer, Doc, with Uncanny X-Men number 3. We did the Namor 3 review today, and he had a lot of fun with that. His head almost blew up.
I hate Jason Aaron with a fiery passion, like almost as much as I hate. Actually, I think more than I despise Tini Howard as a writer.
Yeah, Teeny doesn't try to pretend to be anything other than a bimbo. She describes herself that way.
No, that's Leah.
That's Leah. Titty's the magic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. No, Tina's the one that would rather be LARPing.
Yes. And writing fucking D&D manuals
and making cookies.
Yeah.
I'd rather be making cookies myself.
And tarot cards, I heard at one point, Doc was yelling.
Yeah. every basic chick eventually goes through the tarot card phase.
Really?
Astrology,
that's part of the
experiment. That's just
the beginning of the
course.
Experimentations. Yeah.
Yep.
Then they think they're a witch in a coven for a little while. It's just
I think she's done that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So, Sparrow, what are the chances that we get Doomface coming out from underneath the water while some kids are swimming and like give them a piece of advice, not wondering about why it's so creepy that he was underneath them the whole time?
Doomface won't be giving any advice. It'll all be Colonel Silverstreak, and it will all be terrible advice because he's giving advice from the perspective of a decade, a multiple decade soldier that's a super soldier, as opposed to, hey kids, when you encounter a bear, here's what you should do. He's giving them advice from his perspective, which isn't.
I hope that's a different kind of bear.
You take the hair down, and you
there are some jokes about that because it is a scout troop, Jim. So when he starts talking about bears, one of the
scout for them bears.
It's like, oh yeah, the scout leader was telling us about bears.
Yes. I want Doomface to have a shirt. Ask me about some sort of agenda. That's what I want to have.
Oh yeah, just on the cover, like ask me about my feminist.
Ask me about my right cross.
Very nice. We do have to give some shout outs to the supporters on Think Critical Patreon. Really appreciate everybody. We're having a really good time on there. 40 hours of new podcasts and videos going up every single month now. Thank you very much to Dominic Mason, returning to Think Critical Patreon. Stoneheart himself, the protector of Heroes Harbor. Also, new to the Patreon, we've got Ethan Kautz, Cold Front, and he is protector of the Arctic Circle. And finally, we have Zechariah Q, who goes by the superhero name of Sunbane, is the protector of Bloodstone. Really appreciate everyone supporting us there. There's a link in the video description if you're interested in Think Critical Patreon, where you get more podcasts with myself and Aaron Sparrow and Doc and Jim and 32 Flavors, Nick Weiser, and all your favorite guests here on the channel. Having a whole lot of fun with that. We do have Lade Kramer. I know I need a haircut where my hair is standing up and it seems to be giving me horns on the sides of my head, so I start to look like Doomface.
Well, I mean, style it up, man. Get some gel and just.
I used to do horns, when I was younger. Do you do horns, Dylan? You're that age.
No, I've never done horns. Never been compelled to do horns.
How about a faux hawk? You seem like a faux hawk kind of guy. You got the head for it. Narrow.
Haven't gone faux hawk yet either. It's not. I tend to stay very boring with my hair.
You're not a hair product.
You would have been like 8 during the big faux hawk craze.
Yeah.
Your mom never put a faux hawk on you?
No. She never thought to.
So you're always wearing those shorts with the suspenders and talking to old people, asking about their stories.
Basically, yeah. Big old lollipop propeller hat,
Yeah. ribbon.
But you know, if you could do hordes like Doomface, there's worse things to happen to you. Lade also says so since Absolute Batman is so jacked, will his first confrontation with Superman end in a pose down, like Rick Rude and the Warrior back in the day? Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah. I hope that Batman like gets the sweat and flicks it at Superman. That'd be awesome. Little Rick Rude.
Absolutely.
I just want Batman to be cutting some Scott Steiner style promos. It'd be pretty great.
With some Steiner math.
The numbers don't lie.
So, Aaron, I finished Mr. McMahon this week on Netflix.
You finished?
And I must say I was
Oh,
excruciatingly
Mr.
disappointed with Mr. McMahon, the docu-series on Netflix.
Did it
It's
not
just
deliver
all
the
the
goods?
stuff I already knew with a couple of like interesting factoids. But it's 4.5 hours.
The stuff with Shane was pretty depressing.
That was depressing, where he just wanted
like
his
watching-
father's love.
Yeah, and it's just oof.
Don't we
but yeah,
all?
otherwise just a complete waste of time.
Like, it's well produced if you don't know anything about Vince McMahon or the WWE, the history of it. Like, it's good, but if you know all that stuff, it's just a waste. So there you go. I was let down. Gallup says, I like what Aaron said about stop hiring incompetent women. I know there are smart ones but out there, but these ones have proven no girls allowed.
I mean,
Are
I
you
always
ready
liked,
to run for president of No Ma'am, Aaron?
I always liked your boy Zach's idea of you fire all the women in the industry and then you make them reapply for their jobs. But I think that I would actually broaden that to firing almost everybody
Everyone.
at Marvel and DC and then making them reapply for their jobs. There's only like one or two people I can think of that I would not force to go through that at Marvel, that I'd be like, you can stay. And then everybody else would have to reapply, including Dan Buckley. But I'm afraid he couldn't get an interview.
Probably. So there you go. Dion, I read that story you reviewed yesterday and can say, as a German, that Kurt's German is grammatically incorrect. That's true. That's why I put it on the thumbnail like that. Someone called me out. I was like, yeah, it was on purpose. Because he says mine when he's supposed to say I a lot. Anyone else notice that?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what happens when you put in the most rudimentary amount of research, which is to say none at all.
Yeah. Kurt, not well presented in Uncanny X-Men. Disappointment. Gallup says, why are these writers still behaving and wishing it was 2017 all over again? Is it for the attention or is it because they feel like heroes? Like Wade?
I think it's because part of them, they feel like heroes. Because that's when they thought they had some degree of relevancy. They thought they were fighting the good fight and getting rid of all those bad people. And, you know, that's when the comic industry had enough money that they could indulge these petulant children and play these stupid games with trying to find other ways to have comics that didn't actually have to sell. That's when they actually were relevant, when they mattered, and when they had some degree of power. Now they're fucking useless clowns. Granted, they were then too.
Mr. DC Comics, would you rank Vince McMahon as a character creator? Is he an all-time great? Better than Stan Lee? What if Vince was the promoter of Marvel or DC?
I mean, there'd be a lot more harassment suits.
Silvani, are you a wrestling guy?
Silvani.
Oh, sorry, pardon me. I haven't been keeping up with what's going on lately, but yeah.
Vince hasn't been around lately. What do you think? Is Vince an all-time great character as well as a creator?
No, he needs character creators.
He said character creator, not character.
Yeah.
Like,
I got it.
listen, Vince McMahon, almost everything that was good that came out of WWE was someone taking the chicken shit that that Vince gave them and making chicken salad out of it. So you think of like the New Day, he came up with a terrible idea and a terrible gimmick for them. They made it work. Stone Cold would have been Chili McFreeze if it was up to WWE creative. He had to do that himself. All these guys had to take these things and run with it themselves. So no, I don't think Vince had ideas like the dynamic dudes and Los Matadores. Just he never met a stereotype he didn't like. So no, I don't think Vince was a good character creator.
For every Undertaker and Kane he had Mantars, Bastion Boogers, Duke the Dumpster Drosy,
the gobbledygooker,
Isaac Yankem DDS.
Yeah, Isaac Yankem DDS, the fake Diesel and Razor. So he is far more miss than hit. Granted, Stan had a lot of misses, but he had way more hits.
But you only need one hit to fill an arena, and you could have lots of misses on the undercard.
Do you remember? Oh, who was it? Who was the one that Conan portrayed in
Max Moon?
Max Moon. How much he didn't want to give up on that fucking idea.
He did WrestleMania 3. He came up with the concept Hogan versus Andre the Giant. 93,000 people. Probably more like 78,000, but still, that's a lot of money. He's a billionaire for a reason.
And then he took credit for saying, and then I just had this idea for this annual show, WrestleMania. And Jim Cornette is like, okay, first of all, no, it wasn't planned as an annual show because they didn't know if it was going to work. And then on the second one, they really kind of like almost lost their ass. And he goes, and he didn't even come up with the name WrestleMania. Howard Finkel came up with that.
The Fink. They used to make fun of him too. Galb says, is the hot dog in Gay Kitty Pride supposed to be a racist metaphor? Are the rats white people? Am I missing something? In Rip Dazzler and Straightness?
I think that was...
Sometimes a hot dog is just a hot dog.
Yeah, unless it's a hot dog with mustard and bigotry.
Yeah. So, I think it's just supposed to be like, she's so far in the dumps that she can relate to the rats who are like chewing on leftover food and stuff. I wouldn't go too much.
I thought
that
was a
really,
bad
book.
Really strained attempt at humor that didn't land.
That's a lot of what this From the Ashes era has been. Not very good. Thank you for everyone for supporting the channel. Really appreciate that. But we do have what was some pretty good news this week. We have reports that sales of Absolute Batman #1 are over 200,000. At least the initial orders are. And then also Transformers 13, where we have the third artist coming on to Transformers, Daniel Ward Johnson, have exceeded 100,000. Sparrow, you've been covering the industry. You're a big fan here. What's more impressive, 200,000 on Absolute Batman #1 or Transformers 13 still or going over 100,000?
Transformers 13 going over 100,000. Because Batman was always going to land at those numbers. And what I'm told internally is they fell about 100,000 short of where they thought they would be. So, the fact that you've got this big Batman initiative from DC and you couldn't outsell a Jason Aaron Ninja Turtles book, you couldn't outsell Daniel Warren Johnson's Transformers #1. These are things that should be concerning for Batman. So the fact that the Energon universe is hanging on to such a degree, especially on like the 13th issue, that's crazy, And then some of the other only books that are going up in the industry is, the Hulk book right now is increasing in numbers. It's actually going up instead of going down. But everything else is just like bottoming out. So 200,000 on Batman. You're going to probably cut to 100, maybe you hit 100,000 on issue 2, but like we're going to see those declines come in pretty quickly. So I don't think that 200,000 is impressive at all for what it is.
Well, also DC changed their policy regarding retailer exclusive variant covers. The minimum order was cut from 3,000 down to 1,000 to allow more retailers to go in and do them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably another reason that they even got to 200,000.
Yeah, they had to gimmick the system quite a bit. And, again, it's going to be a bunch of unsold copies. So they're already out there crowing that, we're going to a second printing. You were always going to go to a second printing because you print to order. And a lot of times the comic companies print the second printing at the same time they print the first printing because they know that they're going to do that. So, hearing that something went to a second printing at one of the big two publishers is not impressive. Hearing that Boom went to a second printing, not impressive. It's all baked in. It's all part of the marketing plan. It's all smoke and mirrors to kind of like make you guys think that something has hype when it doesn't. You're going to be able to go into a comic book store. You might not be able to find the specific cover of Absolute Batman that you want, but you're going to be able to find a copy of it if you want it. This is way too many copies for the market to absorb. The interest is just not there. So, that's just where we're at in the comic book industry, sadly.
But I mean, if they did the whole
Yes.
big dumb Batman detective idea that we had, I think it might sell
Solid
more.
gold.
You know, we were
Solid
we had a lot of great ideas for that like a couple weeks ago. I think that could sell a lot if they would really lean into that angle instead of just he's a guy who's good at building things. They went to he's the like most retarded detective Gotham's ever seen.
Big
that
dumb
could sell a lot.
Batman, the world's
Yeah.
dumbest detective.
That'd be great.
James, you missed it. We were talking about like he would come across some fingerprints and then he would just start beating up the cop and being like, "What are they? What are they?"
It's like Naked Gun Batman.
Just massacring crime scenes. Just so ginormous.
Just knocking shit over.
Then
as soon as he comes into
the
the room.
police officer starts bleeding. He checks the blood. It's your blood. And starts beating him up more.
It's a big stupid cape getting caught on things and knocking it over.
Stuck in the door.
He's like talking,
hilarious.
that stupid chest plate falls off and breaks both his feet.
You didn't see that.
It would basically be Pete Holmes' Batman, like you know. Oh no, I understand when I fight criminals, I'm really good, so they get tired and they fall asleep. No, you murdered that man.
Yeah, yep.
No, he's sleeping.
That guy's like 9 foot tall. He's trying to sneak around. Oh, it's so good.
So is this absolute Batman? Is it the like the ultimate?
Yeah.
Version
I think
of
that's what
it?
they're trying to. Yeah, that's what they're trying to
Basically,
sell
yeah.
it as. But it's the ultimate with like if the ultimate version of Batman was like with a bunch of half-baked stupid ideas that seemed edgy to
Stilts.
Scott Snyder at the time.
No, like Ultimate X-Men.
Yeah. Remember? Oh God, remember that? Oof.
Yeah. No, the ultimate version of Batman with no money. He's 9 foot tall. He's
He's an
pretty-
engineer.
Who is this? Who is this Batman character? I don't know. Could it be 9 foot tall engineer
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne?
Might as well put him in Japan, like Dylan was saying with the video game. He's just walking around. Oh, everybody else is 3 foot
But
tall.
We
He's
don't know
walking
about this Gotham. There could be like steroids in the water supply
That's
or
true.
something. Everyone
That's
could be
true.
ginormous.
They actually, Batman's walking down the road. Hey, tiny. Like,
Yeah, he's
the
smaller
smallest
than
guy.
everyone.
He's the smallest one. That's why he's so mad.
But that's how they
It's
figure
funny,
out
James,
he's
'cause-
Batman because Batman's tiny.
When we were making our predictions about what would be the most basic way to like subvert expectations on Batman, one of the things that we talked about was like, oh, you make the Joker rich and you make him like a Wall Street Patrick Bateman type, and he's a white guy, you know, he's literally a white guy, and this rich, so that you can do the whole Occupy Wall Street thing that's so topical and relevant, and sure enough,
That's what he did.
That's exactly what he did. Because we were like, what's the opposite of everything? Make Batman poor, make Joker rich, make Joker established, and like we were just like, okay, so you just turn everything around, what's opposite day? And that's exactly what they did. Like no real creativity or digging in deep, just the most basic thing you could do.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And me and Wes did some reviews on it, early reviews. And when people listened, they were like, okay, because it's not bad, the first issue, but nobody's interested. Nobody seems hyped for it. And it's a shame. They're just like, oh, I'm glad it sounds pretty good. I'll check out the first issue. But nobody was like, oh, my God, this sounds like the greatest thing ever.
Are you guys watching the Amazon show, the Cape Crusader?
Oh,
I
the J.J.
watched it.
Abrams one? I tried.
Yeah.
I was out pretty quick.
Yeah, I got about 3 episodes into it and had to give up.
Any of the animated Batman stuff without Paul Dini doesn't work, in my opinion. Like once Paul was no longer involved, it seems like everything just kind of fell apart. You don't have him, you don't have Dwayne McDuffie. You're just going back to Bruce Timm, and I just don't think that. I think he gets way too much credit for the animated series because without Paul, he hasn't done anything of note.
That's how the games go too. The first 2 games are amazing. Paul Dini wrote them for the Arkham games, and then developers had their own in-house writers write the 3rd one, and it's a huge step down for the first 2 games without Paul Dini. Like very noticeable. And it's very sad that he didn't get to close out his trilogy because would have loved to see what he would have done with the 3rd Arkham game.
Paul is a creative genius. Like you talk to him and you could throw him any like character. Like one time James threw him like the Bookworm. Was like, what would you do with the Bookworm? From the 60s TV show. And Paul thought for like 2 seconds and then had like this whole like great pitch for the Bookworm and how to bring him into modern continuity. And we were both like, oh my God, like that's genius.
Are you reading any modern comic books, James? Are you checking out the Energon universe with Transformers and the G.I. Joe stuff?
So I did. I am. I got. So I'm bad. So I'm where I am. We don't really have a comic shop that is, gets in regular comics. So I have to get trades when they're available. And I heard nothing but good stuff about that first Transformers arc. And I mean, I'm a big Transformers fan anyway. I mean, I got whatever we need here, and just blown away by that first Transformers arc. Now I got to say, I was never a GI Joe guy. Don't hate me, Aaron. But so I'm not following that aspect of it. But give me new G1 Transformers any time of day, and I'll be happy with that. But I mean, as far as other comics I'm reading these days, I mean, I hate to say, mostly anytime there's a new Goon that comes out, I'll run out and get that on the first day. But superhero stuff, I'm so checked out. I really am.
It sucks being in an area where there's no shop. Like, there are shops in the Philippines, but it's 3 islands away, and you have to have them like mailed in. They show up a week late if you're lucky.
So forgive me, I don't even know, what's it like getting between islands there?
Well, you could take a plane or you could take a boat. The boats do seem a little bit dangerous from time to time, but we don't do a whole lot of island hopping with the 3 kids. They're all under 9 years old, so going out there and doing too much traveling is quite the handful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'll bet. Yeah, I mean, all we have are planes here, so we don't have any inter-island ferries or anything. So
you don't do any ferries?
No.
That's crazy. But Hawaii is like the most relaxing, peaceful place I've ever been in my life. Now, I was probably only in the touristy areas, though.
Oh, it is paradise. It is. You have everything you need here. You got the tropical breezes. You got the white sand beaches. Plus, we have a Target and a Costco. So, hey, I never needed to go anywhere.
Did you guys get an Arby's yet?
Oh, please, I wish.
Now they have a rat.
Exactly. Arby's is where it's at. So, for some reason, Dylan refuses to read Transformers and only reads G.I. Joe. When are you going to get onto the Daniel Warren Johnson bandwagon on this Transformers, Dylan?
If I ever care about Transformers, which I don't see that happening anytime soon, I just don't.
Optimus Prime is the Superman of robots.
I just don't care about.
See, me and Dylan agree with each other again. It's like a
Doc, explain to Jim and Dylan about Transformers.
Because I'm kind of done with the Transformers.
They're robots in disguise.
Oh, I'm in now.
You've enjoyed the Transformers book, Jim.
I have, but I've been saying each issue I'm kind of getting more and more. It's just not for me. It's a lot of the stuff does hinge on you having a bit of a background with the interactions with the characters and the emotional impact of it. And I just don't have it. I don't have it. So at the beginning, I enjoyed it because it seemed like it was kind of like leading me into enjoying it more. And I've realized, Dylan, he's already like, it's not his thing. I thought I could kind of make it my thing, but I realized by now that it really isn't. So I'm kind of off it. But I do like the G.I. Joe stuff a lot.
This is madness. Like, can you believe this heresy? Aaron?
I mean, I could keep going with it and, faking the funk and saying, I love these robots, but it just ends up by this point. It's just each issue, like you'll have cliffhangers where I don't even get them. Like there's, oh my God, it's this guy or that. And I'm just like, it doesn't have that impact with me. So I end up realizing I realize how good it is, but it's just not for me.
I recognize that Beachcomber isn't the greatest cliffhanger in the history of comic books.
Now, Cliff Jumper has a cliffhanger. Now we got that. But and I'll admit, since reading it, I know a lot more about Transformers. I just don't know, things where Alita comes in and starts yelling at Optimus Prime and they're yelling about. I don't have the background to it. So
everyone hates Alita.
Yeah.
She's awful in that book.
I hate Alita almost as much as I hate Carly.
Well, that's the thing. I kind of drifted towards, Spike and Carly, and everybody else hates them. So that's when I realized I think there's something wrong with me here. I'm just not enjoying it as much. I'm still reading it, but I'm just not enjoying it as much.
So are you surprised, Dylan, that Absolute Batman is only at 200,000? I assumed that the floor was 250.
Not really, because there's not really any hype behind it at all. No one cares. We're seeing Scott Snyder write yet another Batman book. This isn't anything we knew. There's anything new for him to say about the character. The pitch wasn't great. It's just there's nothing there to get people excited to be like, yeah, this is what I really want to check out. So I didn't expect it to go crazy. I definitely expected it to be the most popular of the Absolute books because it's Batman, but no, I didn't have high expectations for it. So
they had to have put like 10 times more marketing into this than IDW did for TMNT #1, and TMNT #1 did better. Like, I find that shocking.
Yeah, but I feel like people were super ready for a new TMNT series, especially after Last Ronin. And now with this, no one really cares about this whole thing with Batman. Who cares about
it's Batman in name
engineer.
Only.
Yeah,
but Jason Aaron on TMNT was a stumbling block too. Like, people have to get past that. But I like that. I like
the majority of comic book readers are fucking retarded and still see Jason Aaron as a writer that is good. He fucking, as I said to Wes, he's Lucy with the goddamn football every single time, and everyone ends up pissed off halfway through whatever he's doing. But Jason Aaron, not at Marvel, seems to be better than Jason Aaron at Marvel. And
that is true.
So my point here, though, is that Jason Aaron is still, it's him doing something different outside of Marvel. Scott Snyder, Batman that's not Batman. I think a lot of comic shops are reluctant on this new not Batman book that they held back a little bit.
Yeah.
So Dylan, do you think this is proof that continuity does matter? Because this isn't going to be in continuity, and TMNT is continuity, and just that will put you over the edge over something that feels like it could be disposable just in 12 months.
Definitely. If it was something that actually mattered, that made the fans care, then 100% I think more people would be into it compared to this, which, who knows how long until they give up on this and be like, remember that whole all-in initiative with Absolute? Turns out we weren't actually all in, and we don't really care about this, because I feel like it's going to happen eventually.
Did DC dawn yet? Did the dawn of DC happen?
It's dawn of DC, YOU, dawn, Absolute.
YOU.
DC dawn.
The YOU is the worst. I'll go with the thing too. I don't know if everybody else feels this and whatever, but when the announcement for the Absolute stuff happened, and also there were rumors about it for like a year. It was supposed to be announced, and it wasn't. Then when it was announced, it seemed like
4 years ago.
Yeah, it was so long. And even the idea of a long time being the idea of Jason Aaron involved and all that. So they had that going. And when it was first announced, you kind of get this like, oh man, that sounds cool. Like Scott Snyder on Batman again. And then as I thought about it, and as we have to wait for it, I just kind of got less and less excited about it. The more I thought about it, even after reading Absolute Batman, me and Wes reviewing it, even then, it's the hype. Just there's no hype for me. Even I'm like sitting there, like at one point I was kind of excited, and then you're kind of like, you start thinking, I don't really like that suit, or I don't. Everything since that big announcement just kind of has made it less and less hype. But also, I saw some people talking in the chat, but the deal with Transformers, I've never seen anything Transformers. There's not one thing I have ever seen. Movies, cartoons, nothing. I've never seen anything. So I have no connection at all. I know Shia LaBeouf was in some movies. I've never even seen those. So
don't see those.
Yeah.
When Jim was the age to go see Transformers and watch the cartoons, he was outside beating up handicapped kids.
Yes. See, that a lot of times what happens is when the Transformers cartoon was on, everybody was inside, so I'd have free reign. I went out and looked for people in wheelchairs, is what I was doing. Actually, I was out playing sports and things like that. But even so, it just never was my thing. But though I hate to say it, beating up handicapped people might have been, but that's out of context saying it like that, right?
That's true. I'm throwing Jim under the bus, having a little bit of fun with him. Now, James,
which is what Jim does to people in wheelchairs. He throws them under the bus.
Yeah, exactly, and laughs.
So, James, you mentioned that you are a Transformers fan. There is a movie out, Transformers 1. Did you get a chance to see it yet?
I have not. Of course, it's a kid's property, but it looked a little too kid to me. I think because the voice actors they threw into the Prime, it just seemed kind of gimmicky, and it just didn't really.
That trailer was goofy.
Yeah, it did. It didn't compel me to go out to the theater. I mean, I've been to the movies once this year, and that was to go see Deadpool and Wolverine, and it takes a lot to get me. It's something I'll watch when it's on Paramount or something like that, but not a big desire to go out and see a very kiddie type of Transformers movie, especially when it shows like with the comic, the new comics, how you can make the Transformers a little more sophisticated. So
Sparrow, you did go see it, but you say it's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's definitely kiddie. Like, it's definitely for kids. So go in with that expectation. But if you can get over that fact, it's actually a lot of fun. The visuals are great. I liked the voice acting. I think that Hemsworth makes a good Prime. And that's really tough to say because, obviously Peter Cullen is so ingrained in my mind, but I thought he worked. I thought Steve Buscemi was a good Starscream. And again, I'm a huge Chris Latta fan. That Cobra Commander / Starscream voice is ingrained in my head. But I had fun with it.
I had no idea that Buscemi was Starscream. Now I'm going to go out today and see it.
Yeah, I mean that's like a good reason to go. I just thought I was like, yeah, this is a lot of fun. And if I had a kid, like I would certainly be like, I would certainly enjoy it more because you get to kind of like see it through their eyes. Like I actually was fooled into thinking that Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't the worst thing I'd ever seen because I went with Jesse and his kids, and his son Cassidy was so excited. Like every time Spider-Man was on screen, he would turn to me and he would kind of go like, like towards the screen, like, do you believe this shit? And I was like caught up in his excitement, and I was like, hey, that was actually better than the first one. And then later I watched it again, and I was like, oh no, this is awful.
It's not very good.
I was beguiled by a child's enjoyment.
Now, if we could just get Joe Pesci as Thundercracker, we'd be all set.
Very nice. So we've got Silvani on board. Dylan, what's it going to take to get you in Transformers 1 into a seat in the theater?
Nothing. I'm not. Which is, I go and see like pretty much everything too, and I don't care to go see this.
Didn't you like Furiosa?
Yeah, I did.
It's got Chris Hemsworth.
See, I thought Furiosa was boring as hell. The only time I was interested was when Hemsworth was on screen. Otherwise, I was just like, I was bored. All the action, I was bored. I didn't care.
Look what it had to live up to, though. I mean, Fury Road was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want the sequel. I with Furiosa, I mean everything looks CG in that, whereas everything in Fury Road was stunts, and it just made such a difference to me.
Yeah, I was super checked out in Furiosa.
Yeah.
So you went and saw the Marvels, but you won't go see Transformers 1, Dylan.
Did not see the Marvels. That is incorrect.
You said you saw everything.
I see pretty much everything because I've got like AMC A-list, so it costs me nothing additional to see extra movies. I could see, and they just play once a month, and that's it. So I see basically everything. Didn't see the Marvels though, because that looked horrible. And Transformers 1, I don't care. I don't care about Transformers. Nothing has ever made me care about Transformers.
Don't you have a nephew or something that you can grab and be the cool uncle?
Nope. I thought it was cool when Snake Eyes freaking was a Starscream that he threw a grenade in his eye and kicked him off a waterfall. Oh, that was sick. That's about it. That's
There's got to be a random kid in your neighborhood that you can just grab and take to the movies.
I think
you might get in trouble for that. I don't know about
kidnapping.
That. What you do is you offer him candy, get in my van, and then you offer him movies.
Sure, I guarantee it doesn't work out.
Dylan will never be on the screen again.
So, there's signs about you, warning people.
You're on a list.
Just want to take you to see a movie, have a good time.
Yeah. But I'm a little bit surprised Transformers 13 is at over 100,000. I think that's an enormous success. You know, obviously the first issue would have been greater than that, Jim, but we don't see a lot of comic books pick up steam like that, where it's not really a milestone. It's issue 13. It's not issue 20 or 25 or something that they're really pushing to really get up there. It does show you, despite you not loving it, that it's actually getting people in shops.
Yeah. Oh, a lot of people talk to me about it. And when I do say that it's just not for me, I'm not saying it isn't good. I do understand the deal. And there are a lot of people who, where it used to be, hey, I was out of comics, but I heard this new Batman deal, or I ended up Spider-Man, whatever. This is a book that a lot of people have jumped onto, and then it's expanded with the idea of almost like, you know, I guess maybe the gateway drug for indie stuff. Then a lot of people then say, oh my God, what other indie stuff is there? I'm like, oh, well, the other Energon stuff, the Ghost Machine stuff, and it expands out from there. And so when you even had like a Mark Millar talking about the idea of needing a big two to be hitting hard because you need a Batman or a Spider-Man to get people initially in the store, it might not be that as much anymore because you have stuff like this Transformers. And you also see once that hit, you have a lot of other 80s properties, 90s, but they're all like kind of going there. And a lot of them have been pretty good, just not as big or, you know, expansive as the Transformers or Energon stuff.
Just not Thundercats from Dynamite.
Thundercats are like a Johnny Quest or something. But that's neat to have those little things for people. But that Thundercats is terrible. That's
Space Ghost is pretty awesome.
Space Ghost is pretty good. But again, would people ever go to Space Ghost if you may not have a trend? Like it kind of goes, you know, down the line. Well, I like this. What other things came out? What other things? And it works out. But Absolute Batman, it's just Absolute Batman. It's going to come out. People will buy it because it's, you know, Absolute Batman. But I don't think people are going to be going back to the stores. I said, if anything, it might get a couple people or, you know, maybe a bunch that have kind of drifted away from DC. They don't care about the continuity. They want something. And, oh, my God, the last Batman I read was Scott Snyder's Batman. So I'll go to do that. But that's not the big thing that you want. You know, you want to get something like a Transformers where you have people who aren't even reading comics want to go and get it. And it's just kind of picked up steam because of how good it's been.
Definitely need more books like that. Dill, do you think Ghost Machine could do that? I think, you know, it probably won't do like 100,000 on Rook Exodus number 13, but I could see Ghost Machine numbers like going up incrementally as people realize there's a whole lot of quality in there.
Definitely, with how good and consistent the books have been, all three titles they got going right now have been amazing. If they can keep that going and get more people interested, I definitely believe it. Because they're like, I think they're the most consistent out there. Granted, they don't have like a ton of books out, but I think they're the most consistent publisher out right now with how good the books are. Like, I haven't been disappointed in any of the Ghost Machine books I picked up.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I'll even say that I'm disappointed with one issue of any of the books. Like, you know, every issue comes out, it's a solid read, even if it's a little, you know, down in the way of everyone hits, and it's so good. And yeah, Rook Exodus is one of the books though that I hear, like, I still get almost every day or every other day somebody DMing me and like, oh my God, you keep talking, I've got it and it's great. And so that one I think is definitely picking up a lot of steam.
And Hyde Street comes out next week, I believe.
Yep, it does. Yeah,
with Ivan Reis as the artist, with the more horror spin on whatever they're doing there.
And Redcoat comes out just as an aside thing because that's, you know, a deal too. But yeah, Hyde Street. I didn't read it yet. I looked through it. I got a review copy, and it looks good. It looks really good.
So I know you're not reading as many new comic books out there in Hawaii, James. Is Ghost Machine something that you've been hearing about?
Yeah, this is the first time hearing about it.
Exactly.
Is it related to Ghost Rider at all? Is it?
No. It's an imprint from Jeff Johns that was supposed to start up at DC. It's called Ghost something else, but now it's at Image Comics, and there's 3 titles.
Mad Ghost.
Just Mad Ghost at DC is what it's supposed to be. It's got Geiger, and you got a comic book called Rook Exodus, and then you have another one called Redcoat. And they have their own kind of unique spins on them. They all have great artists. Brian Hitch is on Redcoat. We got Jason Fabok on Rook Exodus, and then Gary Frank is on Geiger. So you have really good creative on it. But the Rook Exodus, like if you're into toys, and being Aaron's friend, I'm assuming you're into action figures. When you open Rook Exodus, you're like, I want to play with these characters because the character designs are so awesome. Like they are all connected to animals, and they have like unique costumes and masks that relate to the animals and stuff like that. It's pretty darn cool.
You know, I'm doing what I do. I'm more of a, you know, people have their writers that they follow. I follow artists, so Brian Hitch is one of those artists that I'll follow. So that is one I will pick up.
Yeah, he's doing the Red Coat, which is more of a comedy. Yeah.
Say again.
What a powerhouse of talent! You know, you got Brian Hitch, you've got Jason Fabok, and you've got Gary Frank. I mean,
and Ivan Reis on Hyde Street.
And on Ivan Reis, yeah. Like basically everybody who was good at DC.
And then they've got a couple of all ages comic books coming out, I think, in October as well, with the Rockefellers. And,
by Tomasi. Yeah.
And what was the other book? The one with the heaven hell thing?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. Yeah.
I'm forgetting the name of that one. But we got couple other books coming out. But we'll see if they can get the kind of Steve that maybe Transformers has gotten. Doc, I know you're always saying these will never get people, you know, into the comic book shop, but I think it could happen. It might have a Saga-esque quality to it. Doc is out choking on it.
I'll just go with the idea. It's a shame that Yule isn't here because remember, Yule wasn't even going to order it. He ended up saying that he wasn't even going to get involved with it when it first was announced, things like that. And then he ended up praising the sales of it after he ended up, you know, getting it and selling it. So it definitely gets some people. But you go, Doc. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, look, I don't see this being like Ghost Machine. It can be fine. It's still gravy though. It's the second thing. It's the thing that gets you to spend more money when you're in the comic shop. It's not the thing that puts you into the comic shop in the first place. And that's the problem. Most of the things outside of Marvel and DC are not the things that put you in the comic shop. I hate to break it to them, but there's only one way to, you know, knock Marvel and DC off their pedestal. You can't just be better than them now when they're shit. You have to be better than them when they're good. And then it doesn't matter. Once you bring yourself up to that great level where people that are actually going to the comic shop now see you as an equal to them, now you become a draw.
Yeah. The problem is that nobody's sitting there that doesn't read comics that's ever going to hear about Rook Exodus.
James didn't even know about it. He never heard of it.
But Transformers, people know. So when you do go, that might be something. But the idea of getting those people to even know there's a Transformers comic the whole idea of getting them into the vein of knowing that there's comics and what these comics are, but nobody's going to be able to say, oh, Red Coat, oh, that's with Simon Pure, this time. They wouldn't know that. So you're right, Doc. People know Batman, Spider-Man, even the side characters that they'll, you know, go with. And there's Halo and Hornsby. That I don't know. That name is not. It doesn't roll off the tip of your tongue.
Those are Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. Yeah. That gets you into the comic shop. Now, if what they need to be able to do, what Mad Ghost or Ghost Machine, I keep wanting to call it their old name. If they're able to keep it up long enough, and I'm talking years,
I hope
not 6 months, not 12 months. I'm talking 5 years.
Keeping it up 5 years. Holy.
Yes, I mean the doctor tells you. Remember,
if you keep it up 5 years,
if you keep it up 5 years, you're in big trouble.
Yeah,
keep it up 5 years. I'm telling my friends. I'm not talking to the doctor.
Really?
But so they have to be that strong, still moving that many units, on a month-to-month basis for almost a decade. It's going to take them that long. If you think that you're going to become the next Marvel, DC, if you think you're going to actually start becoming,
I didn't say Marvel, DC, I said Saga.
No,
I also need to have some cross deal. You need, like, say, a cartoon or a movie, and Rook Exodus could be great for almost like an anime.
You need a TV show like Winona Earp.
Yeah,
if you have that TV show, then people will go to the comic book store.
Drop the mic and walk away.
But even Saga barely brought it brought a few new people into the comic shop that didn't buy anything except for Saga, and most of the people it brought them into Barnes and Noble. That didn't help comic
And-
shops.
No.
Saga
And
was
I'll
still a
even
top
go
7
with
selling book in comic shops, though. We saw the numbers.
It
with
was
Aaron laughing about Winona Earp, just to put a thing is, I bet you more people know about it because of that lousy TV show, though. Still, it just sucked, but still, go on.
But my point is, you're not going to become a draw in 1 year, 4 years, maybe not even 10 years. You are not going to be the guy that's actually putting new asses in seats. Saga in the comic shop sold to existing comic readers and a handful of non-comic readers that only bought Saga. The only place it actually brought in a significant amount of non-readers was in the Barnes and Noble. It brought in, it brought in Spider-Man readers. Spider-Man readers are the ones that bought Saga in the comic shop, not guy that didn't buy comics 6 weeks ago.
There we go. Let's hear for the people's Grateful Dog says Wes won't admit it, but he was a mega WCW Glacier fan. Sub-Zero knockoff Glacier. We all remember that, right?
Yep. Glacier, and whenever they started doing all of those Mortal Kombat knockoff characters.
Well, the one dude was pretty good. That was with Adam Bomb or whatever that guy was.
Wrath.
Mortius.
Mortis.
Yeah, he was pretty good, but the Glacier was bad, especially when you saw him and you realized how small he was. You're like, oh, he's not even the size of a wrestler. He's smaller than Chris Benoit. It's kind of weird. But no, I was not a big Glacier fan, but he did have an interesting entrance, I guess. One way to put it. Dion, guys, what the hell is going on with Detective Comics? It feels like a drug trip, and every character acts different in every issue, and the art got uglier and uglier. So, did you finish Detective Comics, Dylan?
No, I went back and I read a few issues of the Ram V Detective Comics, and it was awful. It was like Batman was getting prepared to be executed. It was like a book about Catwoman. I was like, what even is this? And the art was real trippy and weird, and I was just didn't care.
I wanted you to explain to me what happened in the finale of Ram V's Detective this week.
I can. Nothing. There you go.
Okay.
Nothing at all.
How did he stop Scarecrow and the
He gave him the penance
reality
stone.
engine?
He looked at him really, really hard.
Look in my eyes.
Look at my
eyes over and over.
So it's similar to the way Dazzler beat Scorpia.
Yes.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Fell down and quit.
Sucks that both the main Batman books are just ass right now.
Aren't they? At least we got Alf World,
Well, this
but it
at
takes
least
8 months
ends.
off an
Yeah.
issue.
This ends Ramsey's
Awful.
run, so I mean it's Tom Taylor.
And then we
coming
got Tom
on with
Taylor,
him,
yeah.
so you
He's
could-
gonna go
you could hope.
retcon the origin.
But you have Tom Taylor, who really nailed it on his Titans finale with that. So yeah, I don't expect much.
Titans, yeah, that was another really bad book this week.
They hug it
on-
out.
That was
the
solved
main-
with hugs.
Yep.
On the mainstream comics right now, like something like a detective, they said the art got uglier. Now, who are the superstar mainstream
There aren't
artists?
Dan
Who are the
Mora.
workhorses that
There-
are
Dan
doing-
Mora.
Dan Moore's pretty big.
Yeah.
Jorge Menez at DC.
Jorge
I would
Menez,
say
yep.
Daniel Saint-Pierre. He's pretty darn good.
Mhm.
Over at Marvel, I would say it's like Pepe the Raz, Marco Cicchetto.
Are they able to
Name.
do books consistently every month? Can they get through a whole trade's worth of?
Some.
Dan Mora can do 2 books
Yeah,
a month.
Dan Mora. Yeah.
Wow.
Jorge can definitely do a book a month. Marco, not so much. He has to
No,
take
he-
every
no.
other story arc off. We don't know if Pepe the Raz can because they won't let him do it at Marvel because he might become popular. It's kind of weird. They do a lot of like little tricky things to make sure that you don't like become bigger than the brand.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You got any other ones in there, Dylan, that I'm missing out as far as like the superstar artists right now?
I think that's pretty. I feel like there's someone at Marvel that I was gonna say that I can't. Oh, Nick Klein's really good. Nick Klein's.
Yeah, he is really good.
Yeah. But he's also
can't do a
another guy that
monthly
takes off. Yeah.
book. Yes.
But my question, and here is the question that I actually have on that. Are these artists taking off because they need the time, or because Marvel has a 12-month budget and their page rate is too high for that average monthly divide by 12, and so they have to pay him too much over budget for his
No, we
6
get it.
issues and then under budget for the other 6. That's
my assumption with Marco Cicchetto is it's that he can't because he never has. But I know Jesse had a book he wanted to do with Marco. Was that like a concern for him that it had to be like so much done because it was going to be a miniseries because he can't do a book or an entire book's worth a month?
I think with Jesse, it was just a matter. I think Jesse like basically did an old school pitch, which of course you don't do anymore. He gave his pitch to Marco. Marco took it to Marvel, and they said, "Yeah, this is nice." And then nothing else ever happened with it, which is a shame because it was actually a really good pitch that I helped him with and helped him come up with some of the connective tissue for the story. And I think it really would have worked. I think it would have resonated with people, and I think they would have had a hit on their hands, but. That's not the way that it works anymore. You can't take Marvel a good idea. What you need to do is you need to wait for an editor to have or an assistant editor to have a bad idea and then offer it to you. So, that's the way that Marvel works right now. And that's why everything that you're getting from them is absolute garbage.
Adrian Hernandez, a question for Superman fans. So this one's for you, Dylan. What are your thoughts on My Adventures with Superman, the cartoon?
So I watched the first couple episodes when it first dropped, and I did not like it. I thought the first episode was fine, and then after that, it just got worse and worse. And it's one of those shows where it's like, why are you making a Superman show if you don't actually care to follow the source material whatsoever? And also, they cast Jack Quaid as Superman, which is kind of like a way of being like, we want to beta Superman, so we got Jack Quaid. Also look up the Deathstroke and Livewire designs if you want to see two of the worst adaptions for character designs you've ever seen in your life. Horrific. The show doesn't seem to have. Again, I've only watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes. The show doesn't seem to have any respect for the characters at all, and I hate the fact that it got renewed for a 3rd season. It's bad. It's really, really bad. A lot of the stuff that I've seen from it is not something I'm a big fan of. We finally get Superman animated show, which is like I think the first one since Superman the animated series, and it's this. It's like a Tumblr show. It's a show for like Tumblr people, not a show for Superman fans.
It's a show for Arrested Development. Women in the state of arrested development and gays. That's the demographic, and it works for them. So if they're getting enough views on HBO Max with that demo, then more power to them, I say. But yeah, it's not a Superman show for Superman fans. I don't think. I agree.
Maybe that's their brand because that's what that Harley Quinn show is too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it captures the same crossover audience.
But at least the Harley Quinn show, they had already ruined her in the comics to be that character that they're doing in the show. To where this is a version of Superman that we haven't seen. And it's just stupid.
So
they could have done so many
cool not a fan.
No.
Have you read the comic books?
No. I've not read the My Adventures with Superman comics. I wonder who does read that.
Not me. Maybe Jim, do you read that?
No.
Jim will read anything. Adam Frey, Batman.
Transformers.
Batman versus Optimus Prime. Who wins? Tell me, Prime. Do you bleed? So, what do you think, Silvani? You got to write the story. Batman versus Prime.
I want to
tell me, Prime. Do you bleed?
I tell you, I really want to draw that story. That's for sure. I think Aaron and I could have some fun with that one. You always got to take Batman in that one. There's not many characters that I think could get it over on Batman, and Prime would fall by the wayside. He'd be too concerned about sentient life. Ooh.
And the next thing you know, Batman's got like some type of rust producing like thing. He just throws his arm and rusts out fucking Optimus Prime and then turns him into the new Batcave or something.
Yeah.
You think Batman doesn't have a contingency plan for giant robots? Of course he does.
It's contingency plan.
That's probably that's like in the top 5 of things that Batman planned for. Is like a race of giant sentient robots comes to Gotham.
What took him so long? I've been waiting for you for years.
Finally,
It has anti-robot spray.
Exactly. What do you think? Would you write that one, Sparrow? Would that be fun?
Yeah, hell yeah, I'd write that. It's got two of my favorite things in it, Batman and Transformers. That's the funny thing is, I talk all the time about how I don't care to work for the big 2. I don't care to work on any of these properties. It doesn't matter to me if I ever do. But that doesn't mean that I don't have an enthusiasm for them and that I wouldn't bring my A game if if given the opportunity. It's not a goal of mine that I feel like I have to accomplish. But if it were offered to me, like the way that things are just offered to people in the comic book industry now, if someone said, hey, instead of offering things to a bunch of untalented hacks, what if we offered something to people who actually cared about the properties and wanted to do a good job? And then they were like, I think Sparrow might fit that mold. Then sure, I'd do it.
Yeah, let's offer them to talented hacks.
Yeah, we're the most talented hacks there are. We're the best. We're the best in the world.
Definitely would have appreciated you on the Turtles of Grayskull book I got this week.
Oh no, they did that. Oh, I wish that I was doing that. Oh,
it was bad.
It's not very fun.
How
do you rate that? Not fun.
Tim Seeley.
They always hire Tim Seeley for all of those cartoon, like all those toy things.
It's not fun.
I know Tim loves Masters of the Universe. I don't know how Tim feels about Turtles, but like it just seems like no matter what it is, they're like Tim Seeley, and whether he likes that property or not, they're like, I don't know, what are we doing? Centurions? Tim Seeley, you want to do Centurions? And he's like, what's a Centurion? And they're like, do you want work or not? And he's like, yeah, I'll do it.
The art's really good by Freddie Williams, as you can imagine it would be, because he's so talented. But the book itself, not very good.
That's a
there
shame
you go.
because,
Batman beats Prime, right? I think we all agree on that, right?
Yeah.
It's got to. Grateful Dog. Will we ever get another Carl Urban Dread movie? Absolutely not. They were talking about doing a Carl Urban Dread show, but I feel like that one also died in pre-production as well. Unfortunately.
It's a shame.
I would love a sequel, though.
I love that movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can't have nice things. It's not allowed. That isn't our timeline. So
it's the fucking birthday party clowns. They ruined Dread.
Yeah, that's what happened.
A big hit.
That's what happened. All those birthday party clowns. Damn it. all
Dread's such a cool movie. It's unfortunate that
Wes,
Stallone had already ruined the property.
Let those among you who don't have a balloon animal in your hands cast the first stone.
There you go. The Calico, shout out to Thinking Critical from Fan X Salt Lake City. Keep it tuned to Thinking Critical, support the team, and keep your comics indie from Cinema Comics to your LCS or your LCS indie rules. Absolutely. If you're in the Salt Lake City area, definitely go and see HH and the guys from Cinema Comics at Fan X. That'll be a whole lot of fun. The dude is always selling, and he'll have a few copies of a Calico to go to. If you like manga better, he'll even have a manga version of that sumbitch. And this is how good he is, Sparrow. Just like the federal government measuring the amount of dildos that P. Diddy had, it's in tonnage. That's how he measures the amount of books he sells. No longer by unit. There's too many.
Well, Wes, the reason that he had all those dildos is because he buys them. He has to get them in bulk at Costco.
I thought that's why he had that much baby oil.
And then Costco came out and was like, "We don't sell baby oil. None of our United States locations sell baby oil."
That was weird, but yeah, the dude's he measures his success in poundage these days rather than units. That's how well HH and the guys at Sigma Comics are doing. Rate that 7. I'm a straight male, and I'm enjoying that. The My Adventures of Superman animated series. It is surprisingly good. There you go, Sparrow. Eat your words.
No, I'm gonna insert the GIF of Sylvester Jr. putting the bag over his head and going, "Oh, father."
Oh, come on, Ray X 7 is a great guy.
No, Ray X 7 is dead to me. Dead to me.
We all like bad shows. What was the one I liked with Bill Bellamy? Fastlane? You ever watch that?
You like the Big Bang Theory, so yeah, you were the king of liking bad shows.
Well, the Big Bang Theory has a really.
You know what, Ray? You know what, Ray X 7? You are alive to me again. It's Wes that's dead to me.
There was a great James Earl Jones episode in Big Bang Theory. There's a really good Bob Newhart episode. Actually, there's 4 or 5 of them. There's some stuff to enjoy in Big Bang Theory. You're with me, right, Dylan?
I never really watched Big Bang Theory, so
don't do
Did
it,
you watch
Dylan.
Young
It's
Sheldon?
nerd blackface. It's
No.
nerd
Young Sheldon
blackface.
is good.
Young
I
Sheldon
don't watch
is
Young
good.
Sheldon either.
Yeah, that's a good besides the deal. You ever watch
Is it
Homeboys in
because-
Outer Space, Dylan? You ever watch that one?
Watch
You're a
what?
Zoomer that you don't watch
Homeboys in Outer
TV?
Space? Yeah. No.
No. You just watch streaming now.
What? Yeah, I don't have cable. The only thing I watch on TV is sports. That's it. That's the only thing for TV. Otherwise, it's all streamers.
You
I
ever
don't really
tip
watch
a
the-
guy
you
out
can
of a wheelchair?
You can get Big Bang Theory on Netflix.
I don't have Netflix. I don't really watch sitcoms. Like I watched like The Office and Scrubs, and that's like it. I haven't really watched sitcoms in a long
That's
time.
the basic bitch of fucking sitcoms. Office and Scrubs. You didn't even get to the good stuff. You didn't
Like
get to
Big
Cheers?
Bang Theory. I've seen
Seinfeld?
Cheers. Yeah, I've watched Cheers and Seinfeld.
You get some
Yeah.
get some 30 Rock in there, Dylan. Get a little better off Ted. Some of that stuff.
What is it? The IT crowd? The British
Yeah,
version,
the
not
IT
the
crowd is
American
great.
version?
Yeah, well, the
really
American
good.
version only had one episode.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
I'm actually watching
a.
I'm watching a sitcom right now that I'm in the middle of, and it's fantastic. Is Loudermilk on Netflix?
I haven't watched that one. Is that one?
I
That one's
haven't
good.
Heard of it, but never watched it.
Ron Livingston is the star in it. He plays a former music critic who runs an AA group. And
I mean, that sounds pretty good
Yeah.
already.
How did Ron Livingston not end up being Paul Rudd? I don't get it.
not the same
charm?
skin cream.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah,
That feels
no,
slightly-
really
slightly
good show.
more
Really
cynical.
recommend it.
He's a more cynical Paul Rudd. Like, he's got like a little bit more of a. He doesn't have that bright kind of quality that Paul Rudd does. He's got like a little bit of darker edge. Like he'd be Paul Rudd's like more crabby brother in something.
So he's like the Aaron Sparrow of Paul Rudd's.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's exactly who he is.
Federico de la Casa left Superman cartoon after the gay bear in the first season.
No, I don't know, Wes. I don't know. I've been told, I've heard that it's the gayest bear that's been in any cartoon ever. Do you agree?
So is it an actual bear that's gay, or is it a bear, like in the gay community bear?
Well,
Isn't
if
that
it's
like a
written
thing?
by Joe Glass, it's both, right?
It's a bear that's gay.
There you go. I
So
have
it's
no
a real
idea.
bear. That's gay.
an
But
actual bear.
ironically, the gay bear is a twink.
Yes.
Crazy. I don't know that I know the difference.
Mind blowing.
Like I'm walking through the woods. I'm like,
It's a
oh my
really
god,
skinny.
there's a straight bear.
It's a
Got
skinny,
skinny
bear.
jeans on
Yeah, it's
and
real,
bangs.
it's real
If the
skinny.
bear goes, hey, it's a gay bear.
That's also.
Did
what
you
a
make
gay
it to
horse
the gay
says.
bear episode, Dylan?
No, I did. I had no idea what he's talking about with the gay
I
bear.
feel bad for you. You should know about
There's a
this.
gay bear shit
Yeah, I
in the
definitely
woods.
gotta jump back in now. This is what'll get me to watch the Superman cartoon, The Gay Bear.
Spin off.
Full Metal 737 with Brian Hitch over at Ghost Machine. Has anyone heard of Last Days of Lex Luthor got canceled? Thanks, everybody.
It was never supposed to come out. Mark Waid came and said that they ended up, him and Brian Hitch started that. They had an issue. They were told that they would be told when it would come out. The DC released it without telling them. They were shocked that it was put out because they never had any idea of continuing it at that point. So
I remember reading this
canceled
now and
deal,
it being
yeah.
kind of good.
Yeah, it was good. But he said that they weren't ready or able to do it. And now Brian Hitch, I guess you can consider that a continuing thing that he might be able to still do because of the way with Ghost Machine being exclusive. But Mark Waid, you can look it up. Mark Waid said they were real pissed that issue was released because they had not even started on anything else with it. So I just think it's dead. I don't think it'll happen.
How did I forget this, Dylan?
I completely forgot about it too. I have the first issue. It was good. But yeah, I completely forgot about it. Seems like everyone forgot about it. It's been forever. And
Like
there's
that
no-
and
when Batman
Gotham of
89
Gargoyle.
Echoes number 5, you're like, that didn't
Yeah.
finish?
Telling you, 3 years from now, when Gargoyles of Gotham comes out by Raphael Grandpa, I'll be like, oh, this was the thing? Because that's still going.
There's only been one issue, right?
2, I think of that. The
Yeah.
Lex Luthor deal 1, but yeah. It's been a year for the Gargoyle of Gotham deal.
They ever
Dylan, are
finish
you
up
a
All
fan?
Star Batman?
What's up, All-Star Batman, James?
I said, did they ever end up finishing
Yeah,
All Star
really.
Batman?
Probably.
They mention that like every 5 years. Like, we'll get back to that.
So Dylan, are you a fan of Slow Lex that we're getting in Superman?
No, everything Williamson's done with Lex, I think, has been a mistake. I don't like bringing his daughter back. I hate what he did with his mother. I thought that was so dumb. And now essentially lobotomizing him and having a completely different character now. It's not really Lex. I don't like anything that's been done with Lex Luthor. I think that's part of the worst aspect of the Superman comics from Williamson so far.
worse than Farm and Graph and the Superman in cowboy like gay-esque thing that happened?
I didn't have a problem with the cowboy fit. That was fine. The Farm and
cover.
Graph, yeah, the cover was really weird and kind of claustrophobic. It was kind of a little too up close and personal. But Farm and Graph sucked, but I feel like I didn't see enough of them to despise them as much as this version of Lex. Also, I don't care about them. So those guys showing up being bad, it's like whatever, they're bad new characters. For Lex, I love Lex. He's my favorite comic book villain. So for them to ruin Lex, it's like, or him, Williamson to ruin Lex, it's like.
Yeah, I didn't like the one
Makes
Farm
me
and Graph.
upset.
I was in a wheelchair. So
Oh,
It's
yeah.
basically Howard Stern and Pat.
It was
Leather.
Howard
It's kinda
Stern. It was
weird.
Howard Stern in
Horrible
a like
designs, yeah.
weird get up in a wheelchair. It was very odd. And then the chain, like he has ideas.
Just needed
he
a gag ball.
That would have been good.
The chain was kind of interesting.
It was interesting, but I'm with you.
I like
Dylan.
that.
A lot of stuff with Williamson ends up where you're interested, but you don't get enough.
Yeah.
I want more of this, and then it kind of ends like he just cuts things off, except for Lex, and Lex.
God.
The barista slow Lex deal is just I even the art drives me nuts with that. It doesn't even look like it. It's so weird. But yeah,
let me show you guys the only gargoyle of Gotham I care about. Is this one right here?
He's
That
carrying
is a,
Batman. Is Batman okay?
That's a he's not carrying Batman. That's Batman, Goliath, and Darkwing Duck, drawn by James Silvani. This was a birthday gift for me one year, and I always have it right here on my desk.
Put it back up. Let's take away this. Bam! There you go. Look at that beautiful thing.
Go. Look at that.
If I mean birthday gift, you mean it disappeared from my portfolio one day.
Well, that was
How
very
in
kind
the
of him.
world could that have happened? Yes, one of the best birthday gifts I've ever got.
I thought he was
like
holding it because
I like
it
how
was
you had
so
that
small.
just handy
my
there.
bad. Yeah. All right. Should we move on? I guess we'll get in one more. We got the Nightcrawler Is A Furry in Uncanny X-Men #3.
Gail Simone, she's hilarious, isn't she?
Doc was very excited about Uncanny X-Men, and he said this was the series that had the chance to be the best. And I feel like you let me down here, dude.
It still was the best one that had the best chance of being good, but it was still just a possibility. It obviously did not work. Look, we've been disappointed in every other one. Look, the law of averages said that there was one that might have worked after like the 20 that they've announced that don't work. 1 out of 20, I mean, you throw enough shit at the wall, something eventually sticks. But yeah, you know what? Nightcrawler, this is just completely changed. All I can think of is how bad he probably smells. After.
Why are you being so mean to furries, Doc?
Because they suck.
Have you ever been around a furry?
I've never really been a part of the fetish community, honestly. So no,
I've been around. Pittsburgh has Anthrocon every year. The city of Pittsburgh and their hotels like dread it every year because the number, like they actually had to tell these people, no, we're not cleaning your litter boxes.
I was going to make a joke that did they shit on the floor or something, but
they did.
Oh god,
the fucking hotels lose their they get pissed about this because these people, and I use that term very loosely. Let's just say hygiene is not. You think that the hygiene at a Comic-Con is sometimes pretty bad. These people make it look like, well, Americans versus French.
There you go. So Sparrow, if I were a Marvel Comics editor and I went to you and I said, you know what? We don't like the character of Nightcrawler. We don't like what he stands for. And we would like you to purposely do everything in your power to destroy the character. Could you come up with a better idea than make him a cult leader? To have him become a murderer? To have his mom become his dad? And then also have him become a furry, all within the space of about 12 months.
I mean, there's only one more step down you can go to, which is make him a brony, and then it's over. That character's done.
Are we sure that bronies aren't a sub like group of furries?
I believe that they are.
That's a
No, there
subculture
is
of
one way they can really lean on all of their anti-Catholic and well, let's just say Nightcrawler.
No, but I'm just saying to Aaron, I was making the point that I don't think you could actually do this on purpose any worse than they've actually done.
No, I mean, look, for all the crowing about representation and having everybody, you know, be seen within these comic books, and you know, Nightcrawler is always going to be a target because Nightcrawler stands for a certain view of morality and a certain view of our place in the universe that is anathema to these people. So, and their belief systems. So they're going to try to tear Nightcrawler down at any opportunity that they get. They're going to try to, you know, and I don't think that, you know, necessarily Gale is trying to ruin the character of Nightcrawler. I don't think that that's true at all. I think that Gale just thinks that she's delightful and she thinks that she's really funny. And she thought that was a really funny thing to have him say, and not thinking about the damage that it does to the character, because for her, it's not really about the character. It's just about like, oh, aren't I delightful? That's the main problem with Gale as a writer. It's sad because you know, it's not like I think a Chuck Austen, where Chuck Austen like deliberately kind of like went out of his way to destroy Nightcrawler's Catholicism, where I think that Jerry Duggan intentionally went out of his way to ruin Nightcrawler's belief system. I think that there's definitely malicious actors. I don't think Gale is one of those. I think she's just
useful idiot.
Yeah, well, she's too impressed with herself, I think, is always the thing. And she thinks that she's really funny. You know, because when she goes out with the girls, she's the funny one.
Yeah. She should have had him be a jabroni, is what it should have been. It works all. The German and the brony. It all goes.
The brony. Yeah, brony.
I'm jabroni.
Jabroni.
But it is.
Yeah, no. And you know, you guys may say, like, you know, well, didn't you guys work on like Darkwing Duck? Like, you know, why are you anti-furry? I'm not anti-anthropomorphic animal characters. I'm anti-perverts that dress up in suits and have weird fetish sex, you know, as cartoon animals.
Mascot.
That's what I'm anti against. Yes,
that's mascot fucking.
That's what I'm against.
That's the dating site I belong to, Doc. Thanks.
Well,
I go out as Gritty. Is what I do.
Fucking Gritty.
Gritty.
The worst mascot. Every time I think of furries, all I think is like the Wisconsin Badger and the Oregon Duck fucking on the 50-yard line.
No, I went to, so I like when I was and maybe this is, you know, me being scarred at a young age, but I had a friend who like, she was an artist friend, and she had flown out to be part of this like this furry con, where she was just like excited because she was going to get to draw animal characters for people, and you know, she thought it'd be really cool to be an artist alley. And I went and I sat with her like one day. She'd already been there like 2 days, and she was like, "This is the worst experience of my life." And I was like, "Why? What's the matter?" And she's like, "All these people are coming up and asking me to draw like X-rated cartoon animals like banging each other. This is not what I thought it was going to be at all." And like, I just watched some of those people come up, and I've seen it with James too, sitting at the table with James, where people come up and they're like, you know, they'll lean over the table, like sweaty and dripping onto his artwork and his portfolio, and be like, you know, whisper to him, do you do XXX? And I'll never forget that when the guy said that, James, without missing a beat, goes, "You mean artistically or personally?" And the guy kind of didn't know how to respond, and James was like, "Yeah, no, I'm not doing that."
That's the perfect response.
Maybe I meant the Ice Cube movie.
Oh God! All of these people really, they need friends. Somebody.
No,
needs
I was sitting with Aaron Lepresti once years ago, and. Hey, no, Aaron, you know, he's a great artist. He does some cheesecake stuff. You know, nothing ever that crosses the line. But you know, he'll do like, you know, some pinup art and things like that. And a guy came up to him and was like, "Could you draw me like a what would it cost for like a naked Barbara Gordon in the wheelchair?"
Oh,
and Lepresti just went, "I'm gonna need you to leave my table right now. Like, I'm gonna need you to go."
See, this is why whenever I go to cons and I ask for commissions, it's just like, hey, what do you want to draw? And I just let them draw whatever they want to in my sketchbook, and I pay them. It's very simple.
You get a better drawing that way 9 times.
Actually, yes, you do, because they get to fucking just go nuts. I got this dope Batman from Karen Grant that's like so much background, all of fucking Gotham around him and everything. It's rad.
See, it's funny, as an artist, I think the opposite of what you were saying, Arrow, is if someone hands me a sketchbook and says, do whatever you want, it's like, I've been here for 2 days. I've been eating hot dogs this whole time. Just tell me what you want. I can't think at this point.
Oh no, see, I always do that on day one.
Right.
That way they haven't just creatively exhausted themselves by then.
James, you just need to do like the guy on Family Guy and just be like, I'm gonna draw you a nice Kermit the Frog.
And I'd be good with it. I'd be like, all right.
So Vonnie, it felt like there was a little bit of like hot dog disparagement there. Like, you don't like the good old American hot dog or something?
Oh no, I love an American hot dog. Just after day 4 of them at San Diego, I got a hankering for something else at that point. Something with some green in it.
Have you thought about a character named Hot Dog Man?
What's that?
You should do a character named Hot Dog Man, and you could have all the condiments and all that kind of stuff. It'd be fun for kids.
So, Vonnie, it's California. You can get the green stuff whenever you want. It's legal.
You just avocado. You just get avocado on everything. So hot dog already has green stuff on it. It's like, I didn't ask you to put avocado on this. And they're like, it was just assumed. It's California.
Either that or that's not avocado, sir.
Well, with furries, that might be the case.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Guys, Sully is in the chat having bad opinions.
Oh.
What do you like now?
Why?
He liked Namor 3.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, God. Sully.
Sully loved Detective Comics, too. Also liked the Amazing Spider-Man this week.
Amazing Spider-Man. The only good thing about it is it reads like 3 minutes long because it's just one big fight with some nonsensical dialogue.
It's the Amazing Spider-Man is only good these days when it's over.
That's the deal.
Basically. At least it wasn't very long, but Namor 3. We have a difference of opinion on that one. What do we got? I think nobody wants to talk about it. Let's talk about Federico Della Casa coming back from an Italian con where we presented our new publishing company with a portfolio of a seasoned artist. Next, we'll do our first comic book. That is awesome. Congratulations, sir.
Let me know if you need an editor, Federico.
One step closer to being a full-fledged publisher, and certainly if you need an editor, get in touch with Aaron Sparrow. You probably got him on the socials and all that kind of stuff. If you need to get in contact with him, you can always drop me an email. Maybe you want Silvati for a cover as well. We got all kinds of awesome creators here, whether it be artists or editors or writers.
But can you edit in Italian?
Sure.
What's so hard about that? You just got to do a lot of hand motions.
Yeah, that's what you do. Hey, don't do this again.
It needs more pizza. Needs more pizza.
Yeah.
You're gonna need a line in here about. You need a line in here about stomping the Koopa.
I'm working with the kids on the line for the Marios with their voices, and they're not there yet. They're like Luigi. He can't get the accents. It's like you got to do the finger cuffs, or you can't do it.
I don't know that finger cuffs is. I don't know that that's the right terminology.
Finger bags, whatever it is.
Yeah,
that's
purse. Not finger cuffs. Finger cuffs is something different.
You stupid asshole.
Yes, I forgot finger purse. I'm an old man. I live with my wife and kids. I don't know dirty words anymore. Or
that's not a new term, Wes. That's a very old term.
But I've flushed all that stuff out because all I do is hang out with kids all the time. Talk to you guys. But congratulations, Federico. That's very, very exciting and very, very awesome. That's going to be really, really fun. We've also got our favorite Doctor Doom stories ever. Every time we bring up villains, everyone wants to say that Doctor Doom is the greatest villain of all time, which is false. But we'll go with it here.
Oh,
so,
don't
Vonnie,
come at us with your Arcade is the greatest villain.
Arcade is my favorite villain. Absolutely. He's awesome. Threw me off there for a second. So, Vadi, do you have a favorite Doctor Doom story?
I do have a favorite Doctor Doom story. Coming in at a strong second place was the Fantastic Four Unthinkable arc. But I'd say my number one is Doctor Doom and the original Secret Wars. I just thought that was so. I being a young reader at that time, was reading this and just showed me the arrogance of how arrogance is villainy, and where Doom thought he could take on Galactus, where Doom thought he could take on the Beyonder, and it just made for such a charismatic, wonderful villain who never saw himself as a villain, and I thought those are the best types, and the way that was presented in Secret Wars. I mean, I'd been reading Fantastic Four; those were my first superhero comics that I had ever bought for myself when I was a kid. But I don't think it felt to me that Doom as a character wasn't fully realized until that time when he showed his hand in the original Secret Wars. I know there's arguments to be made that for Doom's character in the second Secret Wars, but I've never finished reading that. So, but I'm an OG Secret Wars guy in that sense.
So as a kid, that was pretty mind blowing because Marvel really had never done a crossover quite like that.
Oh no, it was fantastic. I mean, I think Aaron had mentioned this before that it seemed like just a thing to sell toys, but that's fine. I got the toys, I got the comics. I thought it was so fantastically done at that time. Plus, that Mike Zeck artwork was just was mind blowing to a young me.
Absolutely, they just finished all the reprints, or they will finish the reprints of Secret Wars for their the facsimile editions in December. So they've been releasing them all year long. So that's one of those stories that actually has some long-term relevance, which Marvel does struggle with. But that's definitely one of them, along with Civil War and Infinity Gauntlet, I guess, are the big three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's and to me that was, and I always thought Secret Wars as a whole was a Doctor Doom story, and I thought it was fantastic the way they did it.
Very nice. Anyone have anything to say about Doctor Doom and Secret Wars?
That's freaking spectacular. Anytime, like, so Silvani and I talked about a little bit about this last night. I said that the reason that Secret Wars doesn't kind of like rise to that level for me is because when it came out, I was certainly like really impressed with it, but going back and rereading it several times since then, it is, really written as kind of like a way to sell toys, and it's written a little bit more like new reader or kid friendly than some of the other stuff that I read at the time. Like, I was also reading Byrne's Fantastic Four and the way that he portrayed Doctor Doom. And so that always seemed a little more sophisticated to me. But man, that Mike Zeck artwork and just some of the stuff that they did in there, like Doom taking off his mask and you realize he only had like a little tiny scar. And that was, after years of talking about how his face was ruined, and you just realize the vanity that this man has. The Secret Wars definitely went a long way towards establishing the character of Doom that we would come to know over the years, and his fatal flaws.
I feel like we got like a little like Aaron the Barbarian there. We like Sparrow laughs at your Secret Wars Doctor Doom, laughs from his mountain. What's your choice for the best Doctor Doom?
All right, so I really love Triumph and Torment. I love the motivation of Doom trying to get his mother's soul back. I will say this, and I know that Doc might object because he says that Mark Waid has never written a good story in his life. But I think that single issue of Unthinkable with the Mike Waringo artwork, where Doom It's just the setup is so great. It's Doom coming to the United States. He's not in his armor. He's just in a business suit. He's wearing a plastic mask over his face. Kids are crying as he walks by, and he's like, "Oh, my mask must have scared them." And she's like, "Sir, my child is blind." It's like the kid just picks up on the evil emanating from him and the evil intent that he has. But the story setup is just Doom going back and finding, his lost love, Valeria, and telling her, I when I was young, I made a choice. I chose science, I chose to go to the United States. I chose to do all these things, and I should have chosen you. I should have chosen love. He's basically giving her this hard sell that, he wants to choose again. And she's like, Victor, I don't know, like, after all the things that you've done. And there's this just really great moment that's so beautifully rendered by Mike Wieringo, where Doom just puts out his hand. He says, "Just tell me that there's a chance for us." And she says, "Oh, Victor, of course." And she takes his hand. And that last panel is just him grasping her hand. And he just goes, "Excellent." And just the way that the lettering is done and everything, you're like, "Oh, this is going to go bad." And you turn it, and he basically sold her to demons to get power, power over a greater mastery over sorcery. And he tells her, "I told you that I made a choice when I was young. I chose science over sorcery, and I want to choose again." And basically, he sold her to a demon. He had to sacrifice something, his one true love, for power. And her skin like unravels off of her skeleton, and it becomes like this flesh armor that goes over him that looks kind of like his Dr. Doom armor, but it's this, it's covered in runes, and he's basically going to go after Reed Richards with sorcery, something he can't understand. And that one issue, the whole story is good, but that one issue, I would say, is a perfect comic, and it's a perfect distillation of Dr. Doom. The other story I really love is Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars, because I love God Emperor Doom. I love him just ripping the spine right out of Thanos, with no problem. Everything that he did in that. But the character defining moment in that Secret Wars run is at the very end, where Hickman just gets down to the core of what makes Doom the character that he is he and Richards are fighting over the fate of the multiverse. And Doom says, "Admit it, Richards, you've always thought you were better than me." And Reed Richards responds, "I've never thought that, but I've always thought you could be better than what you are." And Doom just loses it. And it's like, it's an absolute perfect distillation of their relationship. So those are my favorite Doom stories, favorite Doom moments.
Yeah, Reed has always been up his own butt, trying to talk.
Absolutely.
Like that.
Absolutely. But that's such a great line. It's like, it's such a great line to, to Victor's. It's like, no, I've never thought I was better than you. I've just always thought that you were a piece of shit.
Oh my goodness. No wonder Doom hates his guts. He deserves it.
At the very core of Doom, what he wants, whether he's willing to admit it or not, is he wants Reed Richards' respect. He wants Reed Richards to recognize him as his better. That's what, that's his whole motivation.
Very nice. Very, very cool. Jim, do you have a favorite Dr. Doom story? What's your number one?
Aaron took mine. It is Triumph and Torment. It's the same deal with that. It's so good. And it's kind of a two-parter. The second part, when they go to hell to get his mother's soul back, that's the real kicker. But what Aaron was even saying, it does that a lot in Triumph and Torment, where Roger Stern kind of delves into the idea that Doom isn't exactly bad. And a lot of things in that, while I was reading it, and I've read it recently, you kind of do sit there and like, you know what, the Fantastic Four are a bunch of assholes. Like the idea of Reed kind of not getting past himself and whatnot. And you see the way Doom was written, it was written really well, even like with his face and how it wasn't as bad, but he ended up making it worse. And like all these other things that are tied into it is really, really good. And it just has real good motivation. And teaming up with Doctor Strange is cool as well. So I really like that, but that's pretty much my
Isn't
favorite.
it hard to say Doom's not so bad when he took the love of his life and sold his soul to to demons for more power? That's pretty evil.
Well, that's your perspective. I do that 3 times on Sunday is what I was doing.
Well,
seriously.
It's this, it's this idea that Doom is so small and so petty when it comes to Reed.
Yeah.
He would, if someone told him, if a demon told him, "You want to defeat Reed Richards? Take a bite out of this baby's head like an apple." He would do it just to get that edge on Reed Richards. And that's one of the reasons that Wade is such an effective writer when it comes to Doom, is because if there's anybody who understands being so petty and so small, you would completely screw everything up to strike at one of your enemies, it's Wade.
And I go with you. They even play it out like sometimes it plays out. I hate my brother more than anybody I've ever met in my life. So I kind of go with that as well. Like I should like him and we could get, but it reminds me like somebody like Sue should just say, hey, Doom, hey, Reed, just kind of hug each other. And one year my mom actually did ask for her Christmas present for just me and my brother to hug while we were there, and we wouldn't do it. That's how much we hate each
If
other.
you did do it, I imagine it would be like on Step Brothers when Adam Scott and
exactly.
they're like they don't know what to do exactly. They're like hand on the face and
my mom like really thought it was going to happen too, and then Christmas morning came. I handed her a gift. I said that other gift's bullshit and walked away. And I think I was like 9 at that point too. And my brother was
Jesus.
7,
I was
but,
imagining you were in your 30s or something.
This happened early on, and
maybe Namor
like
number
each
3
other.
isn't so out of fucking left field. Maybe kids are evil.
They are. Yes.
listen, Mom, I can't do it for you. Here's a beach towel.
Yes, exactly. Here's a bottle of bourbon. Go for it.
As a 9-year-old, you had access to bottles of bourbon.
That would be great.
I
Actually,
remember when we
in
were
our
kids, you
cookbook.
could go buy smokes or whatever for your parents.
Yeah, I think I got her like some, I don't know, a keychain or something.
That's so much better than.
But that's how I look
children-
at Reed
children
and
loving each
Doom.
other.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not happening.
I'll throw something a little bit more modern in there. I do think the Jonathan Hickman, Sanford Green Doom one shot that came out this year, which is basically just like a Doom the End story, is really, really fantastic. It's really powerful stuff. Maybe not quite as great as some of these classics, but it's something that certainly should be mentioned. It'll definitely be in my top 10 comic books of the year, probably underneath Lobo's cancellation special because that was that good. But it was, I think, a really cool distillation of what Doom could be if he ever decided not to be evil. He decided he needed to save the world, kind of thing. Although his own hubris gets in the way of that one too. So definitely think people should check that one out. Dylan, you are a young soul, or you're a young man but an old soul. Doom should probably appeal to you in some degree.
I like Doom. Yeah, I would. I'll go a little more modern with my choices. I'll go with Books of Doom. I'm a big Brubaker fan. I like Books of Doom. I like what it reveals about Doom. There's also a great moment where we see Doom's first experience with a slut. He's just walking around. It's his first time getting drunk, and she starts making out with him. And his inner monologue is like, this cretin thought she could get behind my defenses, but no. He's like, it's so good. He's talking about how he doesn't understand because like the only girl he'd been with before was so like loving and like there was different intentions behind it to where this girl just purely like wanted sex, and he's like so befuddled by it, and it's amazing. It's such a great moment. And seeing how he takes over Latveria and everything, and then the ending with the Doombot, I think it's really good. I like it a lot. And that's my.
So there's no bag of sand moment like in 40-Year-Old Virgin?
No bag of sand.
Or is the Uncanny? It's like a blood bag. Was that Death Suck? You didn't read Uncanny X-Men. Not very good. Who's the artist on Books of Doom?
There were 2 artists. Who were they?
I don't remember either.
It's been a bit since I've read it. Let's see. Who are the artists on there? Come on, Marvel.com. Tell me.
Hold on. I can just pull it out right now.
Oh, there you go.
And the book.
Don't do that.
It's Paulo Riamotti. And, yeah.
Yeah, how did I not
Yes,
get
I
that?
thought it would be.
Mark Farmer. Mark Farmer did parts of it. Yeah.
Is there any character Brubaker can't do well? He's not really like a superhero guy.
He
but
didn't really do X-Men very well.
You're the world's worst X-Men critic. You hold everyone to such a high bar to clear by.
No, I mean, even he admits, like, he didn't get
Yeah, that doesn't seem like something he would
like
be down
Brubaker.
with. Yeah.
Like Brubaker admits, like, I didn't get it. Yeah, Mark Farmer was the inker on it. Pablo Riamondi was the artist on Books of Doom.
All right, Doc. We're to you. What's your favorite Doctor Doom story of all times? What's the best one ever?
Well, I was going to go with Books of Doom, but Doom the Emperor Returns is really fucking good. Came out around the same time as Books of Doom. But I'm going to actually go with Warren Ellis's Doom 2099, when he basically had Doom finally take over the world.
That was good.
In Now he did it in the 2099 universe where it kind of doesn't count. But he finally gets to take over the fucking planet.
It counts to me, damn it.
Yeah.
Doesn't this feel like Doc being a hypocrite after all that shit he talked on Nightwing and then all the other alternate universes like Absolute Batman?
It was actual Doom, though. That's the thing.
But it's in another multiverse.
It was our Doom, though. He got taken to the 2090. He got transported to the 2099 universe. It was current day Doom. That was the whole point of Doom 2099. He got bumped like 100 years into the future. And then he basically had to reestablish himself because obviously once he got time traveled to the future, he no longer ruled Latveria because fucking he's gone. He's in the future. So he's had to start taking over and conquering again, like from scratch, and including like getting new armor and everything.
Didn't we see Maestro beat up Doom 2099?
I don't know. When was that?
Maestro, the third volume. That was the final boss.
Oh, no. It wasn't 2099 Doom. That was just regular Doom.
In the future?
Yeah. It was
How's
still
that
just regular
2099?
Doom.
It's the same Doom.
It wasn't into 2099 universe yet.
Oh,
also, that's a different future.
Wasn't there an actual what if story where it's what if Dr. Doom took over the world back in the original what if?
Yeah.
Run?
Yeah.
And then he took over the world, and then the bureaucrats came up to him talking about farm subsidies and plumbing and things like that. And he goes, "Oh God, this is so boring." So he sabotaged it so that the Avengers and the Fantastic Four were able to come in and take him over. And he goes, "Whoops, my bad. Yeah, you guys are right." And he goes back to
have it back.
Yeah.
He didn't like the logistics of governance.
That's actually that was also done by Ed Brubaker in Authority Revolution after they had taken over the United States in coup d'etat. Then like there's literally issues with the Midnighter. He's the Secretary of Defense now. Jack Hawksmoor's the president. The Midnighter's sitting there just having like daydreams about murdering the entire, like all of the Joint Chiefs that are trying to give him a brief thing. And he's like, "This sucks so bad. I hate this."
Very nice.
And then they're super happy when Henry Bendick shows back up because they're like, "Oh God, we can just go beat people up again. Thank God."
There we go. Those are the favorite Doctor Doom stories of the battle. We got a few other things. Mr. DC Comics, Batman gets a Walk of Fame star. Who's next?
Spider-Man.
Anybody who pays for it.
It's either Superman or Spider-Man.
I think it'd be Superman.
It's got to be Superman. He's more important than Spider-Man, isn't he? He's the first hero. He's the alpha.
He should have got it before Batman.
Yep.
Yeah.
Savani, you don't like Superman, do you?
Oh yeah. I mean, I haven't read it in years, but I'll pull out John Byrne's Man of Steel every so often when I want to read something good, or I can go back and watch any episode of the animated series that, and then I'll say, yeah, that's Superman, and or watch the original two Christopher Reeve movies.
So who should get a Star of Fame first? Should it be Superman or Spider-Man?
Good question. I see an argument for both. Superman the first, of course, but Spider-Man is give a little Marvel representation there, I guess. Spider-Man was the first relatable superhero. I wouldn't be disappointed either way, but You know, as far as I'm concerned, Batman's got a star and Godzilla's got a star. So that I think that's all the fictional characters we need.
I mean, I think Optimus Prime deserves a star.
Get a prime star, absolutely. Dion, Doc, who approved at Marvel that Emma got to rape Scott?
Probably. You know what? I don't know, so I'm just going with blaming Annalise Bess because that's always a safe bet. If you blame her, probably 9 times out of 10 you're going to be right.
Yeah, Grateful Dog, 90s Claremont Fantastic Four was great. Wish he would return. That is the great Claremont run that everyone forgets, Doc.
It is. You know, people remember his X-Men. They remember him leaving Marvel and going and doing Sovereign 7. They remember his Wolverine with Frank Miller.
X-Men
But
Forever.
they remember X-Men Forever. They even remember his 2 different returns to the core X-Men books. They remember his Extreme X-Men. He didn't do Alpha Flight.
Thinking of Burn then.
Yeah. But they forget about his Fantastic Four. That's also what introduced us to really Salvador LaRocca, back when he still drew pictures and didn't trace his action figures.
Yeah. There you go.
I pulled out the X-Men versus Fantastic Four.
Silvestri.
What's that?
That's Silvestri art.
Oh no, this was
Fantastic Four. Sorry, I'm thinking Avengers.
The Avengers one. No, this was geez, I can't think of the artist on that one. Excellent book though. It was right in the aftermath of the Mutant Massacre books when Kitty Pryde was a ghost in that one, and they were trying
Jack Kirby, John Bogdanove.
Oh, Bogdanove. Yeah, that was it. Fantastic story though, and then I think that was the first time I remember that was Claremont that wrote that, right?
I don't think so. Hold on.
It is Chris Claremont and Stan Lee are the authors.
Okay. Okay.
Dusted off Stan Lee for that one.
I think it was a lot of. I think they used some old material in that book, if memory serves.
Imagine that's how Stan Lee and Jack Kirby got on it. As
yes,
because they're in the trade.
Yes.
Man, that cat is hungry. Very, very good. We are somewhat cat people here. So that'll do the Dr. Doom stuff. We'll get into the comic book recommendations, but I do want to give Mr. Silvani an opportunity here to talk about this project. We've got the Kickstarter up right now. It's Pirates of Graphic History, but not that graphic, not that kind of graphic. It starts on Tuesday on Kickstarter. Fantastic stuff. 150 pages at a minimum, Mr. Silvani. You've been working on this for a while.
I have. It has really been a labor of love. Growing up, the way I learned about history, the best example I use is Schoolhouse Rock, because when they did the stuff about the Constitution, when they did the stuff about the preamble, when they did stuff about the 13 colonies, it was done in a song format. It was done in a very catchy way. So when I wanted to write my own history book, I mean, I'm not going to sing. I'm not going to do anything with lyrics or anything like that. But I know humor, so I thought we'll teach history. Pirates are an interesting bit of history as it is, but when you do it with humor, I think it really sticks a little more. I've run this past my nephews and other young people in my family, and they remembered these aspects of history by the gags that I told with it. And I'm glad that really has able to hit, because so much of pirate history revolved around major points in history, as far as like the War of 1812, the War of Spanish Succession, the 30 Years' War. so you learn about Blackbeard, you learn about Black Bart, you learn about as we were saying, Captain Kidd. But you learn actually in this book about all the events in world history that took part around that time, and so it'll be a good history lesson for people to read it, and done in a fun way. I mean, I think Aaron gave me wonderful leave to have fun while I'm drawing. Make the artwork as fun as possible. And I think it translated over to this book pretty well.
Very nice. And I teased earlier that Aaron ruined your life by getting you into comics and, some of your first gigs there. But this is something that you've always wanted to do your entire life, correct?
Oh, yeah. I was, I drew from the earliest age possible. It was great. I really did. I really was lucky that I had parents that encouraged me to pursue a career. They liked it because when I was younger, they could take me anywhere. I would just sit there quietly and draw. I could take me to a restaurant. They could do family gatherings, and I'd just be happy sitting there drawing. So, growing up, I always thought I was going to do new syndicated newspaper comics. But when was the last time you picked up a newspaper? So, so I decided to switch over and get into the lucrative world of comics.
Ooh, damn it, Silvani. Nice. The Lockhorns are as funny today as they were when we were kids. And I will die on that hill.
I'll take Andy Capp over Batman any day.
So, James, at the end of the show, we always give our comic book recommendations. They don't have to be new books. They can be things that you've enjoyed in the past. Do you have any comic books that you want to recommend to the viewers?
Geez, I mean, like I said, the only thing I read these days is The Goon and Love and Rockets. As far as I mean, to me, The Goon is the perfect comic book because the writing and the artwork, if it was done by two different people, I don't think it works as well. It's sort of like Calvin and Hobbes, where, if somebody else was drawing Calvin and Hobbes, it wouldn't work. If somebody else was writing Calvin and Hobbes, it wouldn't work, because the way the art and the storytelling works together so perfectly. It can't be done any other way. So I think The Goon is the only comic these days that really does that. As far as mainstream books, I enjoyed the hell out of Transformers. I'm looking forward to the next volume of the trade.
And issue number 12 just came out last month, so it should be out in another month or two. So good stuff there. Really appreciate you coming on here and talking comic books and geeking out with us. Thanks for having me. Like I said, I wish I was more up to date on what some of the newer books are, but according to you guys, doesn't sound like I'm missing much.
You ain't.
Nah. Yeah, you're doing fine. Federico de la Casa, the two best Byrne Doctor Doom stories, Terror in a Small Town, and This Land Is Mine. Byrne understood Doom. It made him fearful and respectable at the same time. Come on, Doc. You're the Marvel aficionado. You disagreeing with him? Do you like Byrne's take on Doom?
I like Byrne's take on Doom. I like Byrne's, basically all of Byrne's Fantastic Four. So, and every time he touched anything really related to the Fantastic Four, it worked well for John Byrne. I think he's also pretty good at being petty. So it worked.
I forget, was Christoph introduced in Byrne's run, or was that after?
No, that was in Byrne's run.
Yeah.
Very good. Really appreciate that chime in, Federico. We've also got Dylan. Do you got any comic books to recommend this week? One named Lobo, maybe?
Yep, I've got two, and Lobo's one of them. Lobo Cancellation Special #1 is great. It's so good. The art is really, really amazing. I was surprised when I opened the book how good it looked. It looks like the cover, which you don't get all the time now. But yeah, Lobo Cancellation Special is great, and that's a Lobo fact. So I would definitely recommend reading that. And then the other one is Action Comics 1069, which I actually liked, surprisingly, because this little arc from Gail Simone was actually pretty fun. I didn't care for the first issue of it, but issues 2 and 3 of it was actually pretty good. You see Superman fight aliens. It's cool. It's fun. It's pretty good. And Eddie Barrows is on art, and he always is amazing. So those are my two recommendations for this week.
Jim, do you want to explain to Dylan why Action Comics wasn't very good?
I like this third issue more. I actually like the first issue more than the second, the opposite of Dylan. But this one, it just seemed like she ran out of some time. She ends up getting the points, and it has good Superman moments. So that's kind of what you want from a 3-issue deal. But I thought that some of the stuff kind of played out like it should have been bigger, like she was setting up more, and then all of a sudden realized she had to finish it. But it was still okay. So, yeah.
Very nice. I was just teasing there, Jim. You didn't have to
I just wanted to give an explanation. That's what I.
Very nice. Jim, do you have any comic books to recommend?
The Lobo cancellation special and another off the beaten path deal. I did end up getting my PDF of Unholy Nightmare #1. So I suggest that if you're already supporting it or whatnot. But that was pretty good as well. One of the better things I read this week.
I heard one of the editors on Unholy Nightmare is kind of sus.
He's an asshole, so I don't mind. And we're talking about Murphy.
Wow.
Oh, poor Murphy.
Poor Murph. No, but it's really good. I actually was impressed by it. So, kudos to everybody involved, including Aaron here.
Appreciate
very,
it.
very nice. Sparrow, you got any comic books to recommend?
I do. Actually, if you guys are following Kickstarter, or Indiegogo, I should say, Aaron Lepresti's Wraith of God 3 just went up, Fear Hollow. So I definitely recommend checking that out. Volume 1 and 2 are spectacular. I expect 3 will be much the same. So now, if you have not jumped in on the Wraith of God books, now is the time. From the mainstream industry, there's only, I haven't read the Lobo cancellation special, although now I will that you guys recommended it so highly. The only other books that I have to recommend this week is there's a new issue of Conan out. So that'll be good. We already know that the track record that, Jim Zub is racking up on that. That's going to be a great read. And then the new issue of Feral by Tony Fleece is out. And that book has been really great. So I recommend both of those.
So, Sparrow, I will warn you ahead of time with Lobo cancellation special. If you are not comfortable with being uncomfortable, you might not like the book. It is kind of offensive in parts.
I mean, I think that we need that now. I think that we've gone so far in the opposite direction of not being offensive at all. I think we need to return to really kind of transgressive humor and taking shots at everything. And I'm actually surprised that anybody at DC had the balls to greenlight it or to allow it to go through.
There you go. You're probably like that. Last but not least, we do have Doc. I know that you've read Namor #3. Are you ready to recommend it like Sully?
No, and I think Sully. I feel like he might have had a recent head trauma.
He's
has Sully's account been taken over by Gabe? Because Sully seems sus right now.
Yeah. No, Namor #3 is one of the worst comics that I've ever read in my life. I just wanted it over, and it kept going and going. I fucking hated it. And it made me once again remind me why I hate Jason Aaron. And I think that if I had a time machine, the one thing I would do would be to prevent him from ever being allowed into mainstream comics.
All right, well, let's talk about what you do like.
So instead, we're going to go with this. Okay, so Wolverine. Oh, God, what issue is this? 40. It's the Albert and LCD arc where they get introduced. Larry Hama, Mark Silvestri, Wolverine's fighting a robot version of him, as well as this robot little girl, and he's trying to protect them. It is absurd. It's great. This whole era, the 12 to 14 issues, maybe 25 issues in a row, is just fucking awesome. You got this, and then you follow it up with the thing with Cable and Sabretooth and Shield and Nick Fury. And then it moves on to him with that creepy zookeeper. And then you start getting into the whole Weapon X stuff and the Shiva robot. But yeah, so this issue is it's great, good fun. Then we will go with the only time there has been a good Mystique comic. And it was written by Brian K. Vaughan. I think I'm pointing at his name. Am I? Yes. Yes, I am. Woohoo! All right. I guessed where it was correctly. So Brian K. Vaughan, Mystique, it's just done as a spy book. It's really good. It's really fun. I think it lasts for about 24 issues. think Vaughn leaves around issue 18, and then it kind of goes downhill. But it's a really fun book, and you get, Greg Horn covers. So him tracing something. Then we will go with, just come on. It's Liefeld doing Cable again. I think it was only for one issue, and it's part of the 12 storyline. Cable 75, good fun, and it's around the time that he started using that scimitar, the fucking staff, to focus his psychic powers, and he stopped using as many guns, and he actually started using his mutation a little bit. And then we will go with Astonishing X-Men Volume 2, Number 1. This is the new X-Men team. It's all Summers and Grays, basically. And Wolverine. But this is after Wolverine. Actually, I think this is where Wolverine dies. No, he had already died. Oh, this is right after he was coming. He is recovering from being the Horseman of War. So this is leading up to the 12 and also what that Cable issue was part of. So the 12 would have been kind of a culmination of a lot of little dangling plot points from decades of X-Men books with Cable and Apocalypse and the Future and the 12 mutants, and they finally settled on them. And then Jonathan Hickman had to go and fuck with that and do it again for no reason, except for this time tie it into some goofy fucking dinner party and Krakoa nonsense. So that's where I'm recommending this week.
Got it. Very nice. Those are your comic book recommendations. And if you're interested and you're not able to find James' pirate graphic novel on Kickstarter, there is a link in the video description as well. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. Definitely want to say thank you very much to James for joining us. He's in Hawaii. It's probably like 5 a.m. or something, probably still there. So he definitely had to get up early to visit us. We really appreciate that. Everyone have a great weekend.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Definitely have a great weekend, and I'm going to get some dinner.